Over here, and there's two.
Two, deal. Yeah, yeah. Sounds good.
It's funny is that the suit is very huddled together.
So then, yeah, fine. Maybe I'll just ask you that. Look through my existing.
Can you confirm that Julie's online?
Yes.
Yep, Julie's online. Fantastic. Yeah. And I'll go ahead and say it ahead of time that Julie's could be off camera, in and out. So, yeah. Oh, good, good. Great. And then we have Jesse.
That's done.
We'll get started in a couple of minutes here, just making sure everyone was able to transfer over.
First step. Feeling a little bit better.
I'm glad you have to Monday to get it together.
Yes. And I have, I gave myself with a backup plan going into it. And wasn't exactly expecting to set backup plan, but I did a little bit of work there. So.
Jesse's on, fantastic. All right.
Well.
Okay, and are we live?
Hoping to start.
Gotcha. And you got the timer and all that stuff all set, ready to go? All right. The June 3rd Lane Community College Board of Education regular meeting will now be called to order. Joe, will you please call the roll?
Thank you, Chair. Kevin Altucker,
Here.
Austin Fulnegi,
Here.
Jesse Maldonado,
Here.
Michael Olson,
Here.
Steve Mattal,
Here.
Jerry Rust,
Here.
Julie Weisman.
Here.
Thank you, Chair.
Excellent. Before we move on to the land acknowledgement, I do have to provide a point of information to the community. Members of the public, it is my duty that I'm making this statement as the soonest available open public meeting to create an official public record and fulfill my obligations under Oregon Public Meeting Law. In good faith, during the executive session, I formally objected and of the continuation of the executive session on the grounds that we were in violation of ORS 192.660. To avoid unlawful participation under OAR 199-0400025, sorry about all the numbers, everyone, which we've all had training in, by the way, as a board. I went ahead and exited the session. I want to state clearly for the public record that the board explicitly was directed to take this path by our legal team at Ogletree Deacon. I believe this guidance was directed to this governing body to could potentially violate statutory requirements of the board. And I strongly recommend that the board schedule a future meeting regarding filing a formal complaint through the Oregon State Bar under RPC 12C, 8.4A3, and 8.4A4. These are important. These meetings, it's important for us to fulfill our responsibilities and duties to the public. We'll now move on to the land acknowledgement,
Chair,
which is this a point of order?
I'd like to make a statement as well. You took the opportunity. I'd like to make one.
Absolutely. We do have a full, and usually I would be more than okay with, allowing for this, allowing for, statements and so forth. I fulfilled my obligations under statutory rules and regulations. If you would like to make a response, there will be time during the comment and question time period for the board.
No, it's important that folks out here that you just made a statement in front of, you have the opportunity to hear.
Absolutely, yeah,
the other
yeah,
side.
absolutely, and yeah. So obviously, I made the statement. I obviously indicated that your point. I'll take it as a point of order, which is not well taken. That being said, you have the right to appeal the chair's decision on that. If you like, you can go ahead and do that.
Now you've lost me. I would just like to make a brief statement.
Make an appeal. Appeal the ruling.
Oh,
Yeah, you appeal my ruling.
I would like to appeal the ruling.
All
I'll
right.
second that.
All right. It's been moved and seconded to appeal the ruling. We can go ahead and go to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. But I'm a little confused. I mean, what?
I apologize. Yeah, let me clarify what that means. So by voting aye, you sustain, by voting aye, my apologies. By voting no, you sustain the ruling, meaning that essentially I'm overruled. If there is a yes vote, the ruling stands. So,
What? I'm still confused.
oh, no worries, no worries. Yeah. So you asked for an appeal for my decision. And I'm standing on that decision. A no vote sustains my ruling. So then it allows you to then go ahead and speak. And then a yes vote.
That's the part that's confusing. You said a no vote sustains
Yeah,
your ruling.
yeah, correct. And then
Therefore, I
the-
would not be allowed to speak.
Oh, no, you'd be allowed to speak because, yeah, it sustains my ruling. So yeah, so a yes vote is that my ruling stands. Okay.
It's very confusing to me. The way I'm hearing you, you're saying both yes and no sustain your ruling. I'm
Yeah.
just confused. Which,
All right. Well, how about this? Again, I do want to encourage people to speak. I want to elevate voices. I wanted to save some time so that we can give people time for public comment and so forth. Let's go ahead. Go ahead and you can speak. Please.
I'll just ask the parliamentarian, given that we are in the midst of a vote, do we have to complete that process?
Okay, you're right. Yeah.
When you are in the middle of a vote,
Yeah.
if the chair allows you to withdraw your motion,
Mhm.
you can take that route. Otherwise, if you want to formally conclude it, you do have to take a vote.
Yeah. I'm willing to remove the motion if you're willing to, so that you can speak.
In which case I'll remove the appeal.
Excellent. Steve, go ahead.
Just I didn't get the chance to prepare remarks, so apologize for that. But just for the benefit of our audience here live and online, there was a disagreement about the let me just get straight about the ORS under which we were meeting in executive session. However, we took that seriously. We requested advice from our counsel, and I believe myself especially, speak on my own behalf, we're fully satisfied that there was no problem whatsoever. Austin had a misunderstanding of the situation and chose to leave. So I just want to be clear that I certainly did not feel that we were meeting under any auspices not allowed by the Oregon laws.
All right. We'll now move on to the land acknowledgement, which the land acknowledgement speaker this meeting will be Christine Bradshaw. Christine, if you would come to the podium. Thank you. Yeah, please. Thank you. And of course. Yeah. And if you could speak into the mic just for those who are online, greatly
Okay.
appreciate it. Thank you.
My name's Christine Bradshaw. I'm with nursing faculty, and I'm here to read the land acknowledgement. I do it slightly different. I see you have it printed here, but I do this at the beginning of every year, so I have what I read for my class. So I guess I'm starting this meeting with the acknowledgement of homeland. When I moved here over 25 years ago to go to Lane Community College to join the nursing program to earn my ADN, I recognized what a beautiful area this is. The camas flowers were blooming, and I later learned that those camas flowers were a part of the traditional people, the Kalapuya, of their food that sustained them. So I think it's a nice reminder for us to remember that this traditional food source was used to sustain the Kalapuya, and we're on their traditional homelands right now, and they were stewards of this land for over 14,000 years. And their land was taken unjustly, and I think it's important that we have humility and reverence for the original inhabitants. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll now move on to the adoption of the agenda. I will need a motion and a second for the adoption of the June 3rd agenda.
So move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Excellent. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed? Any abstentions? All right. The last thing before we go into information response is the equity lens. I want this obviously to be a living document for all of us to continue to ask questions as we continue to consider the public, our students, and our community at large. Question number 3 says, how have you intentionally involved stakeholders who are also members of the communities affected by policy, program, practices, or decisions in the decision-making process? We'll now move on to information requests. Are there any comments or questions in regards to the information requests?
I do.
Yes, Julie, go ahead.
So I asked a series of questions and so first I just wanted to take an opportunity to thank the President Bolger and her team for, doing a great job and answering all my questions. I also, in looking at some of the answers, I saw one that kind of jumped out at me. I mean, most of my questions were based on comments that were made during our last budget meeting. And I just wanted to kind of clarify, get us all on the same page of what we understand. And then I also wanted to give the college the opportunity to kind of address some of the questions that were about the management team and the wage and overpay and things like that. I found it deeply concerning that trustees and committee members were casting doubt on the professionalism and competence of our team. And I wanted to kind of find out what their credentials are so that we don't have it, because I don't think we would ever make those comments about other staff like faculty or classified. So with that context, I asked a number of questions. And one of the answers that really jumped out at me on question number 3 was, I think it was like the very last statement, which was, when we were talking about equity and everybody was making comments in our wage thing that the admin team was really overpaid and, hey, we really should have a conversation. I've heard comments about that a lot. I found it really surprising that 104 faculty who are at the top step make more on an hourly basis than all but 4 managers at the college. And so if you want to look through the rest of the data and you could see it, there's 114 full-time faculty that get paid over between 90 and 100,000. There's only 14 management that get paid that, things like that. So there's a lot of information in there. I found it fascinating. I hope you do too. I think that we really ought not to be in debates about wages. I think that that's a bargaining and operational issue. So hopefully this can kind of put that to bed, and also to humbly respect that we respect our staff and that we don't disparage them in public meetings and treat them with common respect. So thank you. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Julie, and thank you for your questions. It's good information to share for the entire board. All right, any further comments or questions in regards to the consent agenda? I apologize if I'm talking fast, and we have a pretty full agenda, so I just want to make sure we get through things. But any comments or questions? Kevin?
I think you just stated the consent agenda, but I believe we're still on item 1E, response to information requests. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah, we're on. Yeah, responses to information requests. Yeah, that's the topic we're on. Yeah. All right, any comments or questions in regards to information requests? Seeing none, we will now move on to excuse me one second.
Oh,
To the
Chair,
public hearing. Oh,
before we do that, can I just make a point of personal privilege comment?
point of personal privilege. Go ahead. And is it in regards to the information request?
Nope.
Okay.
No, it's just, it's personal. That's why I did it. So I just wanted to
understood, yeah.
make a comment to everybody. I had eye surgery earlier today. And so I'm going to be in and off of camera, and I didn't want to be a distraction. You can see my ugly eye patch. So I just wanted to let people know I'm not off camera to ignore people. I am listening. I'm actively participating, but that's what's going on. So I just wanted so I could fully participate, I need to be off camera. Thank you.
Of course, thank you. I think I speak for everyone here that we wish you well, especially with the healing. And I forgot to mention this, Zach had to deal with some personal matters and is excused. And now we will move on to the public hearing. Quote. So we are now going into recess of the regular meeting and now going into the public hearing. Public hearing is to hear from the public and considering the adoption of the FY 26-27 budget and tax levies. I believe we have two people signed up for public comment. If Joe, if you wouldn't mind calling them.
First, we have Jim Arnold.
Chair Fullnagy, members of the board, President Bolger, President Olson, good evening. My name is Jim Arnold, and you know me as a member of the Budget Committee now. Thank you, Trustee Rust, for your nomination and your support. I sent you all an email about this earlier today, so you may be aware that I published a guest column in The Lookout, inspired by our recent Budget Committee deliberations. Specifically, the catalyst was last week's discussion about tuition and whether or not to revisit an earlier board decision. I wrote the article for a number of reasons. Partly, I wanted to provide some historical context. Many Oregonians, especially younger ones, have little or no awareness of Measure 5 or the profound effect it has had on the funding of public education. Many of the budget pressures we discussed today did not just suddenly appear. They are connected to decisions that were made decades ago. And I wanted to step back and look at another large issue, for I believe that discussions about tuition are never really just about percentages. Beneath them is a more fundamental question about who benefits from higher education and who bears the costs. But let me mention something else that stayed with me after last Wednesday's meeting, which was not so much the outcome as the process. Students came forward and spoke about the impact of tuition that the tuition has had on their lives. Committee members asked questions. Different viewpoints were discussed. People disagreed. Then the committee voted. Now, that may not sound all that remarkable, but I think it's worth acknowledging. Public institutions are supposed to create space for such conversations. The process does not guarantee agreement, but it does give us an opportunity to surface often unspoken assumptions. Having spent much of my life in higher education, I can remember a time when the public discussion was framed somewhat differently than it is today. Back in my early days, that was a while ago, students certainly benefited from earning degrees and improving their career opportunities, but there was a widespread understanding that society benefited as well. Over time, as we all know, more and more of the cost of instruction has shifted to the students and their families. That shift did not originate at Lane Community College, nor with this board. Understanding how we arrived here may not solve our budget challenges, but it can help us have a more informed conversation about them. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Our next speaker, we have Katie Sullivan. Kate Sullivan, I apologize.
Welcome.
Okay. All right, do we have a timer?
Yep.
Gonna move fast. My name's Kate Sullivan. I've been a faculty member at Lane for 26 years. I want to start with what's probably a pithy observation and may be familiar to a lot of you, given national politics. Conservatism consists of exactly one proposition. To wit, there must be in-groups whom the law protects but does not bind, alongside out-groups whom the law binds but does not protect. And I want to talk about what's happened with a classified staff member of late, and that's Kathy Thomas, who's worked tirelessly at LCC for the past few years. She served as our primary data analyst. Last fall, she announced her intention to retire at the end of this academic year. And Keith Comer, her immediate supervisor, worked with upper administration to secure a part-time contract to extend her work 6 months post-retirement to mentor our new data analyst, who is still very new and very green. On May 26th, however, President Bolger refused to sign the contract to extend Kathy's employment. Neither Keith nor Kathy had an inkling that the administration had reversed their decision to hire Kathy on a limited part-time contract. In other words, it appears both individuals were blindsided by this decision. Some individuals may have a salary that insulates them from the economic shock of losing an expected salary of $30,000 to $35,000, but the vast majority of us are not so lucky. I want the board to think long and hard about an administration withholding information from an employee and her immediate supervisor that a verbal agreement would not be honored. We should all be appalled at what is at best carelessness and at worst cruel disregard. Kathy had not put in for Social Security nor Medicaid since she was counting on a half-time position. She hadn't begun to sift through her files, and she has a lot of files in her office, or remove personal items from her office because she believed the word of the upper administration was good and that the agreement that had been months in the making with months of assurances was valid. She was also, on the same day she found out she wouldn't have an extended contract, informed that she would have to vacate her office and clean out everything and turn in her laptop to the college on the 2nd of July. For anyone who thinks that administration is always within their rights to make these kind of decisions, I want to reply that the behavior that I have now witnessed reveals a concerning lack of consideration for an employee and her supervisor. It disregards their specialized expertise and smacks of callousness. I want to end by saying the board shouldn't turn a blind eye to this kind of autocratic behavior, that we should pay attention to how employees are treated. And this also reminds me of how employees were treated with closure programs, and they didn't find out until they found out from their students. Good leadership requires fairness, that those outside of circles of power are treated humanely and ethically.
Finish your thought.
And increasingly, I do not see that humane and ethical treatment in play.
Thank you. And I believe that's it for public comment in the hearing.
Oh, yes, correct.
Excellent. Great. Want to thank everyone, especially for the respectful dialogue and public comment there. Greatly appreciate that. And with that, that is the conclusion of testimony for the public hearing and conclusion of the public hearing itself. We'll now be gaveling in to resume the Board of Education meeting, which will go straight into public comment for the regular meeting. We have 13 individuals signed up for.
Correct, Chair.
Excellent. And we have 3 online, which totals 16, which means we'll have the total of 3 minutes. I do want to emphasize the point to respectful dialogue. This is about issues, not people, and that we continue to, we've been doing really great with public comment. I want to emphasize that. If you want to, I know it, for those who are new here, it's natural to want to applaud people after they speak because you want to show your support. If you could do the ASL applause, that will allow for us to continue as quickly as possible through this process. We'll start off with students first, and then we go on to the general public. Who's our first student speaker?
First, we have Princess Hebert and Richard Reardon.
Excellent. Welcome.
Hello, Gavin, everyone. As usual, I have no prepared statement. I wanted to voice some concerns that I have, and this may not be the proper venue, but if not, then that's fine. I have heard other students having similar issues. Sorry, I'm a little out of breath. I just ran back and forth to the center building. Having similar issues regarding communication from administration. So for instance, in my example, you may remember when I said that I was waiting to hear back about whether I got into the nursing program. Unfortunately, I did not. It was very competitive and I was very close. However, in that email, that rejection email, I was told that the LPN program is back. That was literally the first time I heard about it. And I do remember about a year ago that they said it was paused, not indefinitely canceled. But the deadline for applying for that LPN program was only 4 days away. And I had given up a lot of my hopes for the RN program. So anyway, just that's one example of how it would be nice if there was more clear communication, because I know that word gets around and people don't know, if people don't know why something happened or what happened, then everyone has different information. Whereas if there's a source from college administration that regularly says, hey, these are the things that are happening. For instance, the different programs that have been cut. I remember one of the last meetings where some students were saying that they found out about classes or programs being cut from their professors, saying that they weren't going to be teaching next term because there were they didn't have any classes. So I don't know that I have much else to say about that. I now find out June 15th if I'm going to be in the LPN program. I'm very glad it's back. And I'm glad that they figured out a way to integrate that. I'm sure it had something to do with the BSN program that started last year and making sure that they had enough staff to teach all of the different curriculum. So yeah, the LPN program is now going to be integrated back into the RN program so that after that first year, that the LPN program is the same as the first year of the RN program essentially, and you can be integrated into it via the Bridge program. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm hoping that I'm going to be here for another 2 years. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Next, we have Richard Reardon, followed by Jasper Swiftlet.
Thank you.
Everybody hear me okay? Is the mic good? Fantastic. Good evening, board members, President Bolger, President Olson. This campus exists because education should be accessible for all. It's supposed to lower barriers, not build new ones. We're told an awful lot of students that we are the future. We are supposed to go out and make the world a better place. But what future are students supposed to build when the doors that were open to others are being closed in front of us? I was told by a member of this board that it's simply my perspective. To that, I reply, these are the facts. What you have before you are campaign finance details of a couple of board members, including the one I mentioned. You will notice that business entities are inextricably linked to their campaigns. This is standard stuff for Capitol Hill. Politicians being in the pockets of big business and elections being bought out by big business aren't exactly famous for inspiring public trust. That being said, I discovered that this sort of thing is not isolated to Washington, D.C. It's happening here. It should not be surprising that the people detailed here are also the same one pushing cuts, costs, and limits on students. When business interests put money into board races, they're not spending that money out of a sense of charity. They do it because they believe it'll benefit them. Everybody in this room understands this at a fundamental level. And when organized business money begins to treat public college board as an appendage of its own affairs, it is not normal. It is a serious public trust problem. If administration, the business lobby, board members, and their wire pullers are united in their contempt for me, then I welcome their contempt. It finally means that at last, the right questions are being asked. Because from where the students are standing, board members backed by business interests, voting for austerity, and making life more difficult for the students are not serious about the students. They're simply interested in their own power. It is no surprise, therefore, that when one is bought out by business interests, their words come very cheaply. Believing these people care about students is in the same lane that believing the dancer at the club likes you. They're performative. They care only for money. And the floor they dance upon is connected to a more lucrative interest. And they do all of this without shame. So from now on, anytime these individuals that are listed in the packet say anything, you should be deeply skeptical. These people do not have the college's interests at heart. Any claim to the contrary is frankly laughable. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any students online? Yep, excellent. Let's move to the first one online, and then we'll go back to in person.
All right, our first online will be Allison Morris.
Allison, you'll be given an opportunity to unmute. There we go. Can you hear us okay?
I can.
Excellent. Allison, go right ahead.
Hello, members of the board. I'm here to talk about the HIM closure and how this has impacted me. You've heard me speak many times before, citing statistics and facts. However, this statement will be more of a personal note. Over the past several months, I have been navigating serious personal and family medical issues while remaining committed to my education. I'm currently preparing for final exams and transferring my education so I can continue pursuing my career goals at another Oregon institute. At the same time, my family is preparing to travel out of state to participate in a murder trial involving the loss of my father-in-law, which has been a profoundly difficult and emotional responsibility. I cannot understate how difficult the past few months have been. I'm dealing with challenges outside these walls that most people in this room will never have to face. I chose HIM because it was my lifeline to a stable, independent life. By eliminating it, are you telling me that my fight to overcome my circumstances and build a career isn't worth your investment? Throughout this process, one of the most challenging aspects has been the lack of communication and guidance from administration regarding the program closure. We were promised individual counselors in a BOE meeting, which has not happened. When the program application portal closed before the BOE voted, and with 157 days left to apply, many of us were shut out from the Teach Out agreement. My program director told administration that I and other students with more than 40 credit hours did not receive any communication, yet we were never included. Since the decision to close the HIM program, 46 HIM classes have been dropped. During a period when clear communication is most critical, many of us have struggled to obtain timely information. I understand that institutions face difficult decisions, and I recognize that program closures are sometimes necessary. However, students invest significant time, financial resources, and sacrifices into their education with the expectation that they will be supported throughout their academic journey. When communication breaks down, the burden falls heavily on students who are already managing academic, professional, and personal challenges. I respectfully ask the board to consider the impact this closure has had on affected students and to ensure that adequate support and transparency and transition assistance are provided going forward. Students deserve, and you are legally obligated to provide, clear guidance, accessible resources, and a pathway that allows them to transfer and complete their educational goals with as little disruption as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Now we resume with Jasper Soufflet,
Jasper.
followed by Ethan Guillen.
Excellent.
Chair, if I may interrupt for just a moment. Just a very brief interruption.
One second, Jasper. Go ahead.
I just wanted to make Julie Wiesman, who's not here in person, aware that some papers were distributed to everybody in the room, about 50 copies or so. It includes some, I haven't had a chance to read it, but some allegations, I think, against you and other people as well, and we'll make sure that you get a copy.
Yeah, I already gave a copy
Thank
to
you.
our secretary to be able to forward that over. So, yeah. Jasper, go ahead.
Hello, members of the board. My name is Jasper Shiflett, and I'm earning an associate's in early childhood education here at Lane. I am a non-traditional student, having previously earned a bachelor's in conservation science in 2016. After graduating this semester, I hope to pursue studies in education and policy and become an author-illustrator of picture books. Today, I want to speak about the value and importance of the early childhood education program, particularly its practicum component, where students gain experience teaching children here on campus at the Lane Child and Family Center while earning their degree and their career pathway certificates. This aspect of experiential learning played a large role in my decision to attend Lane. There is great value in being able to apply and practice what is being taught in the classroom, whether online or in person. Thanks to the availability of online courses here at LCC, I was able to complete most of my degree while also working as a special educational assistant with the 4J school district. Many students are familiar with and utilizing professional development opportunities. They're balancing family, work, and school in order to move forward in careers or build a higher quality workplace. This pairing of practicum with education is a natural and effective tool used within the trades, education, medical fields, and most workplaces. Within the early childhood education program, students of all ages are supported in their learning and growth at the Lane Child and Family Center by teachers and professionals who are committed to quality care and education. We learn about the foundations of education and human learning. We support children in developing skills in self-regulation and empathy, and we take care to preserve the natural human instinct to explore. Early childhood educators practice the art of teaching and human connection. The Lane Child and Family Center gives educators the space and tools needed to leave Lane with confidence, experience, and the ability to work towards a brighter and more caring future. And I think it's just one of the many programs here that it shows with funding and with that support, we're creating a valuable community and workplace for everyone in our world. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have some cards here.
Wonderful. Yeah, yeah. And actually, give me one more just for the record. Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
And
See, that was Ethan, if I'm not mistaken. That was Jasper. All right, so now Ethan Guillen, followed by Frankie Rain.
okay,
Hi, everyone. I'm Ethan Guillen. I've been a student here for about 6 years now, and nice to see everyone again. A number of us dance students met with administrators last week. It was great to be able to ask some questions about what's going on. You know, there's not a lot of information. That seems to be a very common thing that comes up. You know, the only things that we see are that like, oh, there's no more classes. So then we ask our teachers and then start to piece together, well, what's going on? You know, from our own back of the envelope, it takes 5 to 7 students, and this is what we discussed with them last week. 5 to 7 students to pay for a teacher in a 2-credit dance course. We have the most beautiful dance studios that I've ever been in, which are a sunk cost. No one's going to turn off the power in those, I presume. So one question we asked was, how much does it cost to pay for overhead? And that was, again, sort of like a hand-wavy answer that no one can answer. And I've been asking a lot of people, and that would just be like a very interesting thing to understand. How many students do you need to have to actually pay for a teacher? I'm sorry, to pay for all of the overhead in addition to the teacher. Then we moved on to talking about the portfolio review. And in 2025, it shows that dance had a 3-year enrollment slope of -71 and a percent decrease of -17.6%. But if you look back to 2023, the enrollment slope was 24 and highlighted in blue, which is like the good color in this analysis. Dance was recovering after COVID. What changed the direction in 2023 was the decision to not hire a replacement for Bonnie Smo once she retired. So it feels a little disingenuous to have in this review that the program is failing when it was actually improving until the replacement was not hired. This is the person who does all the recruitment, who ensures that there's a curriculum that makes sense. And so seeing that sort of, decisions being made on that sort of data without the context that perhaps decisions by the administration created the conditions for the failure of the dance program is problematic. One of the things that was pointed out during the meeting by one of the administrators there was that the previous dance instructor wasn't doing enough recruitment. As I understand it, in 2017, there was an analysis of the program done, and this was supposed to guide budget priorities. And one of the things that was found in that analysis is that the dance program should receive additional funds for recruitment because unlike music or theater, high schools don't have these programs, so it's harder to recruit for dance. As I understand it, that money was never forthcoming for dance. And so the overall problem we have is that we feel like the administration has not been supportive of—
finish your thought?
Yes, please, sorry. Has not been supportive of the program and instead is using these sort of like metrics to make these decisions that are quite harmful instead of being supportive and uplifting. Thank you.
thank you. Before we go on, do we have another student online, right? Yeah, let's go ahead and switch back to this. Yeah, online.
All right, online we have Elizabeth Rojas.
Elizabeth, you'll be given an opportunity to unmute. There you are. Elizabeth, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you. Go right ahead when you're ready.
Thank you. My name is Elizabeth Rojas, and I'm a student here at LCC. I will keep this brief because, like most students, I'm completely exhausted trying to get through finals next week. I'm here tonight because I am deeply concerned that the board is still actively considering raising our tuition, even though you have already suspended and cut 2 entire programs, health information management and criminal justice. As students, we are forced to wonder, where did the money actually go that was supposedly saved by cutting those programs? If these painful measures were meant to stabilize our finances, why are we still looking at higher costs for the remaining students? Looking at the trajectory of these decisions, I feel like we are watching a gradual step-by-step erosion of our public institution. The financial burden on students keeps rising, forcing us to question the current money trail. I can't say for certain what is actually happening behind closed doors, but the utter lack of transparency surrounding these cuts makes me wonder whose priorities actually come first. Our student body deserves an honest, transparent answer. We cannot keep cutting opportunities and raising tuitions without a clear explanation of where these resources are going. Please prioritize student affordability and public trust in the budget. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Excellent. Now we'll proceed with Frankie Rain, followed by Marijuana Kobiku.
Excellent. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Frankie Rain, and I have spoken here before about the dance program, and I'm back again. I was in the meeting with Ethan when we had, when we had talked with our administrators about what we can do to gain more information and knowledge about how to support the dance program, what they can do and what we can do. We didn't leave with a lot of information, sadly, to go off of, but what I can tell you is the work that us, the students, have put in to save the program. We have collected 424 signatures with a petition, and 134 of them are students, and more that haven't even been made it onto the petition physical, like the document yet. That is important because that is 134 students that want to be part of the dance program, that want to show up and have those classes there to support them and to be engaged with. With the classes that are being supplied in the fall, a buzzword that I've been hearing is that we are not, from the administrators, we are not getting rid of the dance program, but by saying you're not getting rid of the dance program, you're not acknowledging that you are dismantling it by offering classes that are not core classes to the program itself. The program does need technical technique classes. Sorry, that was a weird sentence, but the program needs those technique classes to be a dance program. You guys are offering an anatomy class, concepts of dance, an improv class, and those are great classes, and I would love to learn from them, and I would love to bring other students to learn from them as well, but there needs to be more. And coming either winter or spring term of next year, I would love for the opportunity for you guys to even consider bringing back ballet or contemporary, those technical core classes, and let the students show up to those classes in the fall. Let me bring attention to those. Let us bring awareness of the importance of this, and also keep in mind that the enrollment from this year should technically support next year's classes and what will be provided. Every class I have been in is fully enrolled, 20 plus students. So I don't know why that is not being considered for next year's class catalog, because they are obviously supported by the students, obviously supported by the community from what we've seen by the petitions and talking to people here at our college. That is all I have for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Move on to our online speaker.
The ones online are not students.
Oh, they're not students. Oh, gotcha. My apologies.
We have more students
Oh,
interested.
great. Thank you.
Mazwana Kabika, that's really hard for me. I apologize. Followed by Indigo Shayla.
Welcome.
I'd like to ensure before starting that the concept I came to speak about is something related to AI for programming that was mentioned to me by Mr. Olsen. Yeah, is that correct? Remember that being mentioned to me?
He's just
may I read notes from up?
Absolutely, please.
Right. So, my name is Mazwana Kubeka. I am a former front-end software engineer for an independent music company, as well as a music producer for over 15 years. And I worry that introducing any sort of AI coding tools as course material too early or even at all could encourage students to rely on automation before they have properly developed any deep understanding of programming or of the subject, and allow them to skip many important building blocks like debugging and data structures, or even syntax, which can leave them without the foundational knowledge needed to evaluate solutions, design reliable algorithms, backend software, or solve problems independently. And because AI systems can also generate convincing but very flawed outputs, students may struggle to distinguish correct information from incorrect information. If they lack sufficient expertise, or may not even be able to read the code that was written without the assistance of AI, which could be due to the very incorporation of AI into the program itself. And reliance on AI may weaken critical thinking and problem-solving skills by reducing the amount of effort students spend reasoning through challenges or through challenging themselves and building the important habits that come from those challenges. Additionally, employers and educational institutions still expect individuals to demonstrate genuine competence and understanding, which for me is raising questions about whether AI-assisted work accurately reflects a student's abilities at all, and whether it can be assisted fairly, as well if it can be properly restrained and regulated for academic use. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Indigo Schley, followed by Jerry Nahan.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Of course.
My name is Indigo Schley. I'm a current LCC student here. I'm here on behalf of the dance program. You probably haven't seen my face before, but I'm very happy to be here to talk about my experience with the program as a student. I have never danced before coming to Lane, and was extremely excited to see that there were dance classes here, especially technique classes like ballet and contemporary, two formats that are very quintessential to dance education. And then going into the program, I learned about the works and the collaborations performances. And for context, the collaborations is where the instructors teach a choreography to the students and then they perform it at the Ragazzino Hall. And then the works is an incredible production done by students where they choreograph their own dance and then they get to perform it with their dancers that they audition. It is an extremely independent and engaging process that is my favorite thing I've done at Lane so far. We just did the works. It was a really incredible experience. Me and Frankie got to choreograph something together, and not only did it teach me about dance, it taught me about connection, about communication, not just with words, but with your body. Things that you just don't think about day to day that are extremely essential to being a human. And I think anyone can relate to that through different forms of art. But dance especially has opened up to me at Lane. And I haven't seen any other community colleges when I looked for other community colleges that have things like the works or the collaborations. They just teach what you guys are planning to demolish down to just intro, anatomy, no technique, no contemporary, no ballet. Those things are unique to Lane as compared to other community colleges. So I just wanted to highlight and emphasize that part of your program, as well as the dance studio is an incredible dance studio. As Ethan mentioned, like, it's one of the most beautiful dance studios in Eugene. I mean, I've not had the context of other dance studios, but this one is very incredible. So as a student who's just opened up her world to dance, it's been a wonderful experience at Lane. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Jerry Minahan, followed by Kathleen Lloyd.
Welcome.
Good evening, esteemed members of the LCC Board of Education and President Bolger. I'm Jerry Minahan, one of the Faculty Council's co-chairs, and at the direction of Faculty Council, I am here this evening to present a summary report on behalf of Faculty Council's Class Cuts Task Force, the full version of which has been or should have been included in the public comment documents. The task force was established by Faculty Council to investigate the class cuts implemented for winter and spring 2026 and to better understand both their impacts and the process by which they were made. The task force included faculty representatives from multiple divisions and gathered information through data analysis and a faculty survey that received responses from 63 faculty members across 8 divisions. The task force found that approximately 79 course sections were cut from the winter 2026 schedule and 60 from the spring 2026 schedule. While the cuts represented roughly 6% of scheduled sections, they were not evenly distributed across the institution. Instead, the reductions were concentrated in a limited number of subject areas, with some disciplines losing 20 to 50% or more of their offerings. A central concern identified by the task force was the lack of transparency and stakeholder involvement. Requests for information about the cuts, their rationale, and the impacts were either denied or redirected away from public forums. Survey responses further indicated that many faculty either had no input into the decisions or were unaware whether faculty input had been considered at all. The task force also found evidence that some canceled classes were not low enrollment courses. Faculty reported that several cut sections were already full, some had wait lists, and in a number of cases, courses had to be reopened after cuts were made because student demand remained high. This raises questions about whether the cuts achieved their intended financial goals and whether lost tuition revenue was adequately considered. Perhaps the most significant impact fell on students. Because annual registration had already occurred, many students had planned their schedules, employment, childcare, and academic pathways around classes that were later canceled. The report documents cases in which students were displaced from required sequenced courses, faced uncertainty about remaining on track for graduation, and experienced significant stress and frustration. Faculty and division staff spent substantial time helping students rebuild schedules and navigate wait lists. The task force concludes that the process used to implement these cuts created unnecessary disruption, damaged trust, and did not reflect the collaborative governance principles outlined in Board Policy 325, or the college's stated values of collaboration, partnership, and inclusion. Accordingly, the task force makes 2 recommendations. First, any extraordinary class cuts should be implemented through a transparent process that includes meaningful participation by deans and faculty and prioritizes minimizing harm to students. Second, the college should establish a task force to evaluate annual registration and determine whether it is serving students effectively or contributing to unintended negative consequences. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Next, we have Kathleen Lloyd, followed by Jenna Kepka.
Welcome, Kathleen.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you, board members, and thank you, President Bolger. I don't know how many of you have young children or are aware of the crisis families face. Parents can't go to work or school without childcare, and there aren't enough licensed centers to provide care, let alone quality care. We are living in a childcare desert. My name is Kathleen Lloyd. I am faculty and program coordinator of the Early Childhood Education Program here at Lane. The purpose of the Early Childhood Education Program is to offer students a research-based education so they can provide high-quality care to young children and their families. Our students come from a wide variety of backgrounds. Some are already working in the industry, own their own small businesses, or plan to open a business. Others transfer to universities, or like Jasper, come here with their bachelor's degrees already in hand. Our program is entirely online, allowing working professionals to learn while they earn. We offer credit for prior learning, 3 stackable career pathway certificates, as well as credit by assessment to support workforce development. To earn an Associate of Applied Science in Early Childhood, students must complete 3 terms of practicum, supervised student teaching, as well as a co-op internship in the community. Our graduates are in high demand and earn more money by increasing steps on the state-regulated pay scale. The Lane Child and Family Center, our on-campus and nationally accredited childcare center, also serves as the lab school for our program's practicum students. It is here where students practice what they've been learning in their academic studies. I hope you saw the New York Times article about the Princess of Wales, Catherine's recent visit to Reggio Emilia, Italy, to learn about their investment in early childhood. We follow this same approach here at Lane. The Princess of Wales recognizes, as do we, that the first 5 years of life are the most critical, and that high-quality care has the power to eradicate poverty and so many other negative social outcomes. Lane's early childhood program changes lives through learning and provides employable skills in service to our community, helping eliminate the childcare desert. Please reach out to me if you have questions, and thank you for your time and your service.
Thank you.
You'll go online for.
Yep, next one.
Our next one will be joined by Tracy Weimer.
Excellent. Tracy, you'll be given the option to unmute. All right. Looks like you're coming online here, Tracy. Are you able to unmute? There we go.
I am.
Excellent. Can you hear us okay?
I can.
Excellent. We
Can
can
you
hear
hear
you
me?
okay? Yep, we can hear you fine. Thank you. Go ahead when you're ready.
Okay. I'd like to greet the presidents and the board. My name is Tracy Weimer. I work in tutoring now, but I used to work in the Multicultural Center programs at LCC. I want to raise awareness and questions about the following. I'm going to be referring to two Board of Education agenda attachments dated 4/02/025 and 03/04/26, both posted by Calm Joyce. These artifacts are described as the annual student activity fee recommendations found in the historical documents of LCC's BOE. So I see my background's not up there on the screen. That's interesting. So first one uses the SAFC model. So that's the Student Activity Fee Committee model adopted by student vote. And the second one has a different structure. It consolidated power in the student government, and there was a vote. There was a vote of student body to create the Student Activity Fee Committee that was designed from the beginning to be equitable. And it's just been apparently thrown out, but the website still says that it's in use. But if you could see my tape, thank you, please. This is the information that was missing between those two recommendations. The one made in 2000 last year had allocations for the identity unions. The one in this year, 3/04/26, had 0 allocations for these organizations. So this is a class or a category of organization called an identity union, and literally is about student identity and development of student identity. I'm taking a second because I have a lot of feels about it. I have significant concerns about whatever advice they got that ended up in this. A complete erasure of the programming for these identity groups, an infrastructure that was developed over many years and hard fought to get those allocations on the activity fee. And these were all voted by a student body vote. Okay, it wasn't just a few folks in a room. It was the student body that created these organizations and institutionalized these identity groups so that they didn't have to beg to exist every year or beg for money every year. But apparently we're back to that, where these organizations have no allocation in the coming budget. I fear they have no advising. I know that with the talent grants disappearing, and y'all might not know what talent grants are, and I don't know why they're lumped in with the clinic, but talent grants go to student leaders that are also holding down full-time load. Okay, and in the budget proposal, it's page 18 of 140. Talent grants are lumped in there. It doesn't tell you what they are or why
Tracy,
they're
if you can
important.
finish your thought, we're out of time, unfortunately. So if you can finish your last thought.
I ask for you, and especially President Olson, to reconsider and reinstate the identity unions. Yeah, let's go. Let's stop there.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
All right, next we have Jenna Kepka, followed by Wendy Simmons. Okay.
Okay.
Wendy Simmons, followed by Joy Fraser.
Welcome.
Good evening. I'm Wendy Simmons, and I'm speaking tonight in solidarity with my faculty colleagues to provide the history of our institutional research department, as well as apprising the board of our ongoing data needs. Educational institutions are increasingly charged with ensuring that decisions are data informed, and LCC's local context mandates transparent communication around institutional change administered through shared governance. Therefore, it is paramount that this department be adequately staffed. Unfortunately, as of June 2nd, it won't. During the late 2000s and up until 2019, Lane enjoyed the expertise of an IR director, Craig Taylor, who engaged in data generation and analysis, 2 full-time data analysts, and 1 additional employee tasked with cleaning data. During this time, Kathy Thomas and the second analyst Malloy Wilson created a standard data package for the college, so annually produced document that allowed college stakeholders to access key data elements so that they could better understand the financial and academic context of the college. In addition, both Kathy and Malloy worked closely with faculty undertaking academic program review so that programs could access, synthesize, and use data to evaluate their programs. This access to data, along with the consultation with Kathy or Malloy, gave many faculty a more nuanced understanding of their students and the health of their programs. This work, however, along with satisfying other needs of the college, has been overwhelming for Kathy, given that Craig Taylor was pressured to retire in 2019 and Malloy was unceremoniously retrenched in 2020. Even though data requests had increased rather than lessened, a retrenchment he could have fought but didn't. Also, Kathy became a one-person IR department, often working evenings and holidays to satisfy stakeholder data requests. In winter 2025, we were heartened when the college hired Keith Comer to serve as director of IR. After his hire, Kathy announced she would retire at the end of academic year 25-26, and the college subsequently hired a new data analyst who had been apprenticing to take over Kathy's duties. In order to obtain onboard the new hire to the scope of Kathy's work, Director Comer asked the college to hire Kathy as a part-time employee for 6 months after her retirement. Until a week ago, we all assumed that Kathy would continue to be an employee of the college for this 6-month period. On May 26, we found out she would not be retained despite verbal assurances to the contrary, a situation that will leave us shorthanded and undermine the college's ability to provide adequate data to faculty and staff engaged in program review, among other data needs. Having access to valid, mutually agreed upon data is paramount for a functioning institution of higher ed. The loss of Kathy's expertise and experience during this complicated transitional period is, quite frankly, disastrous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joy Fraser, followed by Eric Kim. How was it? Oh, Jay, I apologize, Jay Fraser. Yes.
Welcome.
I kind of like Joy. I don't know. I may have to take that over. Okay, so good evening. My name is Joy or Jay Fraser, and I'm speaking in solidarity with my union colleagues. I'm reading this on behalf of the LCCEA. This past April, all employees were asked to take the Gallup Employee Engagement and Climate Survey. 598 of us participated for a 54% response rate. The results require your attention and action. It is very clear overall that employee morale, as well as our trust in the current administration, have eroded even further among all employee groups. Specifically, confidence in the administration's ability to act ethically and with integrity is even lower than before. Trust that the administration will treat all employees fairly, regardless of individual differences, also dropped substantially since the last survey. The upper administration is becoming less transparent in communicating financial priorities and outcomes to the college community and is viewed as less collaborative overall. There was a very substantial drop in employees' confidence in the upper administration's strategies to improve enrollment, student retention, completion, and transfer rates, and monitor progress, which are, of course, necessary steps to keep our college thriving. Currently, the administration is forming budget work groups. Perhaps intended as a response to these problems, these work groups promise to make things worse. They subvert governance, and by denying any real voice for classified professionals, faculty, and students, they avoid the administration's obligation to include employees in a meaningful process of shared decision-making. We have no actual authority in these groups. We only provide opportunities for input to the upper management. The administration could increase collaboration and trust simply by fulfilling their legal and contractual obligation to work with the unions. Failing to do so not only neglects critical opportunities to act in LCC's best interest. It also means multiple violations of labor law, leading to excess legal expenses, ultimately causing even more harm to the institution. For instance, the administration is legally and contractually obligated to work with both unions on budget cuts. Because they did not, nor did they share information transparently or in a timely manner within the Budget Development Subcommittee, and perhaps because they either do not understand the union contracts or decide to actively disregard them, the cuts they planned are not actually saving money. According to their claims to the board and to the public, savings would come from 20 fewer FTE positions. Because of the way union contracts work, these positions are mostly still intact, and part-time faculty who are the lowest paid and vulnerable employees and whose labor also helps keep LCC afloat are most impacted. Again, let me repeat that. The savings never happened. Unfortunately, the administration did cut entire programs and critically important supports and resources for students. The true results are fewer resources for students to come here and less help for those who are here and less revenue for the college. These numbers about the Gallup poll are startling and serious, and we need your leadership. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Eric Kim.
Julie and Jesse, there's a handout. We'll pass that on to Jove to make sure we get it into the record for you guys.
Jesse and Julie, you can email me at kim.e@lanecc.edu to get a copy of the handout. It's set on automatic reply for you. Good evening, Lane Community College Board of Education, Dr. Bulger, SGA President Olson. My name's Eric Kim. I teach psychology in the Social Science Division. For those of you online, email me at kim.e@lanecc.edu to get the handout. That summarizes and concludes my public comments over the last year and why I think learning psychology and the social sciences helps students and the community. In the first picture, it's ambiguous whether the cat is going up or downstairs. To determine whether the cat is going up or downstairs, we would need to expand the image to get more context. Having a broad education and critical thinking skills helps you put new information into context. The second picture looks like a headless motorcyclist. If you could take a different perspective and look towards the chest of the cyclist, you would see that the person is looking down at the broken chain. Taking a different perspective helps you see past illusions. A transformational education provides a broader context and different perspectives to help citizens and students understand the small snapshots of the world around us. This academic year, I talked about errors in thinking and deciding. Topics include, we paraphrase messages such as, no battery outlasts Energizer is remembered as Energizer is the best. The confirmation bias, availability heuristic, familiarity heuristic, anchoring and adjusting, representativeness heuristic, reason-based choice, and effective heuristic. We have come full circle from the beginning of the academic year. Psychologists study errors in thinking so that we can learn from our mistakes and be less wrong faster. In the picture with Lawrence Fishburne, it is normal to read the top line wrong. There are quick, unconscious, and automatic thinking processes that can lead to errors. Reading the caption slowly helps identify the error. And we all make mistakes, whether it's in our personal life or career. Learning helps us make less mistakes faster. In situations where mistakes can be costly, a person who understands the errors we make increases the chance of success. A transformational learning environment enlarges the context and takes different perspectives. A transformational learner thinks of reasons why they are wrong, understands errors in thinking, gets feedback on decisions, and practices these skills to make a lifelong learner. A lifelong learner helps one become a better version of themselves and become a wiser person faster. At LCC, we prepare students for life's road. Travel the road with good company to enjoy the journey of 1,000 steps. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes public comment. We'll now be moving on to reports, starting with the SGA report, and then we'll move on to the LCC EA report. President Olson.
Thank you, Chair. First, I'd like to go over events and projects and a small statement from me. May events, student government had successfully put on our Spring Festival. Spring Festival was a whale of a time, as quote Becca Maley. We had 12 student groups join us and catered to upwards of 350 students, providing free food and refreshing drinks. And I know my day was marked by being able to watch my vice president get dropped in the dunk tank. We have put together our commencement gift with goodie bags in association with Student Life and Leadership. Their federal work studies have been much help. And we're helping prepare to congratulate the big day for our graduates. Most of student government will be volunteering during the event, as well as our past Vice President, Amanda Fallon, will be giving a speech on the behalf of student government that day. And then for my personal projects as the president, I have successfully, together with many student governments around the state, have helped establish a document being called the MOU of the Oregon Student Coalition, and it will consist of multiple member state universities and community colleges for unified legislative action in the coming Oregon long session and future lobbying adventures. And now my statement. Good evening, members of the board. This is my last meeting of the academic year. Although I will be in attendance on July 1st and over the summer, I still find tonight a personal memento and time to reflect on what being the student trustee has taught me. It has taught me the bearings of wordsmithing and the skillful use of Robert Rules of Orders. It has shown me the ethics and processes of this college and the kind of individuals who interact with it. And truly, I don't believe I appreciated the effective communication that I have learned in my communication classes until I started my position and learned what it's like to be without it. I'd like to thank President Bolger and her cabinet for their wisdom on displaying matters when the board's vagueness confused me. And truly, the last few months have been some of the greatest learning opportunities I've ever had. The biggest lesson of all being how much I'm needed between out-of-state tuition increases, unequal wage freezes, and program cuts lagging student opinions. And I'm glad to represent students in time like these. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to LCCEA reports and then LCCEF reports. Adrian Mitchell.
Thank you. Good evening, board members and President Bolger. I'll make a very brief report and then we'll be following up with some additional documents. So I wanted to share a few campus and LCCEA updates. The first one is that I would like to underscore some of the concerns that were shared earlier regarding the need for more robust and transparent data and impacts to staffing in IR. I will provide to you a copy of the portfolio review data as well as the standard data package. The standard data package has not been available to our campus since 2022. It was a robust document, spreadsheet of more than 20 pages with a plethora of information that anyone could access in order to find out information about trends, demographic trends in programs, students, but all types of demographic data regarding their race, gender, Pell status, success rates, financial implications of each of the programs. And if you take a look at that and compare it with the portfolio review, which is really only cursory minimal data that has been available to programs. So we do have a significant need for more information and transparent data being provided because that is the data that's being used to determine what programs would be identified for cuts. And we have not had that since 2022. So we're very concerned about the implications for not only students and our community at large, but also the budget itself. We have also received a list of 21 areas that were identified by the administration for potential elimination. And these, again, had minimal cursory data attached to each of these programs. So we're very concerned that decisions may be forthcoming in the future that do not take into consideration the negative financial impacts of cutting programs that generate net revenue, not to mention the impacts to the students and our community. I also wanted to share the concerns that some colleagues and campus community members have stated regarding the Gallup survey results. While there's greater level of participation in the survey, the results have further declined. On the question of if I raised a concern about ethics and integrity, I am confident my employer would do what is right. LCC is now at the 5th percentile, also dropped to the 5th percentile on the question of I always trust my institution to be fair to everyone, and dropped to the 8th percentile on the question everyone at this institution is treated fairly regardless of individual differences such as ethnic background, race, age, disability, sexual orientation, gender, or gender identity. These trends are also reflected in the full open-ended comments that were submitted by all employee groups, including managers. And if the board has not received a copy of those comments, it would be really important for you to read and receive and review all of those open-ended comments. We are concerned about the impacts of these concerns. Beyond climate, as we have previously reported, faculty members have resigned or retired early. We had 4 leaving the middle of the year this year, including one who resigned publicly in the January board meeting. And now 7 managers are leaving. This is a full 10% of management staffing. This includes 4 of the 9 deans over academic areas. So that's nearly half of the managers who are supervising academic areas, the majority of whom have cited concerns with upper administration. We encourage the board to seek more information about this, including exit interviews and releasing previous managers who were forced to resign and sign NDAs, including Mike Blade and Greg Evans, to share their feedback with what's actually happening on our campus. One of the reasons why you frequently hear more from the unions is because we can't be fired when we share this information, but you're not going to hear it from the managers directly. On a more positive note, we are continuing to work on a lengthy process to finalize our new contract document in collaboration with the college. And we're also heartened to hear that the administration is seeking a settlement, acknowledging that they engaged in an unfair labor practice by interfering with employee rights to engage in protected activity. We believe a settlement will help mitigate legal expenses, which of course the college cannot afford. In terms of statewide work, we are delighted that a significant number of pro-public education and OEA endorsed candidates won their primaries. This will present opportunities for better public education funding for our essential community colleges in the 2027 legislative session, which is coming up when biennial funding is determined. We're also excited to be involved in a number of statewide endeavors, including ensuring community colleges have a voice in the HB 4124 advisory group, which will advise the HEC on recommendations regarding the higher education system in Oregon. And we look forward to collaborating with OCCA as well as President Bulger to center the critical voice and promote the mission of our community colleges. There are very few voices for community colleges on that group. And our LCCEA member leaders are busy preparing for summer professional development and statewide organizing and strategic planning with our multiple officers who serve on statewide roles to represent and advocate for our community college members. And we recently have conducted officer elections, and I wanted to share a special thank you to all of our elected officers for their extraordinary dedication, many hours, evenings, weekends, and volunteer service. And our officers include April Myler, who is Vice President at Large, Jerry Minahan, who is Vice President for Career Technical Faculty, Rosa Lopez, Vice President for Learning Advancement, Peggy Oberstaller, Vice President for part-time faculty, Don Easton, Vice President for transfer faculty, Wendy Rose Aaron, Secretary, Wendy Rawlinson, Treasurer, And I'm delighted to be able to serve alongside all of these amazing colleagues with the LCCEA. And finally, we celebrated the end of the year with a picnic last weekend, thanks to Erin Bartley, our membership chair, committee, and all of our special guests. And I will follow up and share some additional information with the board. Thank you.
Next, we have the LCCEF report. Tammy, I believe you're online, and then we'll move on to the president's report. Tammy, when you're ready.
Okay. Good evening. At the April 30th board budget meeting, a board member reminded both the board and the budget committee that governance responsibilities require board members to remain separate from the administration's operational and day-to-day management decisions. This is a message we've heard consistently over the past year, particularly when questions arise regarding employee compensation and other matters considered administrative. At the March 31st board meeting, I raised concerns about management compensation, including the recent significant salary increases. In response to the discussion, a board member again stated that management salary adjustments are generally informed by a collective bargaining agreement and are intended to remain reasonably aligned with increases provided to the college's represented employee groups, a practice they described as common. The discussion highlighted, sorry, it's on another computer, bear with me. The discussion highlighted an ongoing tension regarding the distinction between governance and operations. While the board regularly discusses institutional priorities, budget reductions, staffing levels, and program impacts, conversations about management compensation often receive less attention because they're viewed as administrative matters. However, during classified bargaining, the union proposed a 3% salary increase and was informed that approval would be needed from the board in order to offer that because it was above what they were told they could offer. At the same April budget meeting, President Bolger stated that during her tenure, the board's not weighed in on management salary increases because those decisions are considered operational and fall within the president's authority. As the college continues to navigate difficult budget decisions affecting employees and programs, transparency and consistency in compensation practices remain important topics for the campus community. I'm not sure why managers' salaries isn't discussed if faculty and classifieds are. That seems a little hypocritical to me. There seems to be a disconnect between what the classified employees have been asking for regarding transparency and information throughout this process. On April 29th, the college received a letter from the union president outlining concerns about the planned elimination of outlining concerns about the planned elimination of classified positions and its potential impact on C3 budget, which supports part-time classified employees. Discussion included how contractual layoff provisions and staffing considerations could influence decisions regarding both full-time and part-time positions. Following that communication, little additional information was provided to employees or departments that I'm aware of regarding the future of the C3 position. Then a month later, on May 28th, departments and affected employees, including C3 staff, were informed that C3 funding would be reduced. Last year, the college spent $1.7 million. I might be off by 1 point. It might be 6. I can't remember. On C3 positions. This year, their target is $900,000. Today, I learned that a C3 employee found out her position was being eliminated from a coworker. It shouldn't need to be said, but that's a horrible way to find out. You lost your job. Not only that, but the disrespect that it takes to not even acknowledge a person's right to confidential professional notification. The concern's not simply the decision itself, but it's the lack of communication between the initial discussion and the announcement. Even if it's an announcement to say we're still working on this so everybody's in the same loop. Employees have consistently asked for greater transparency regarding budget decisions, their rationale, their potential impacts. Earlier and more frequent communication could have helped employees better understand the process and prepare for the change being considered. And it would have alleviated a lot of stress for the C3 employees. Another issue that raises concerns about transparency and employee involvement is the college's recent agreement with Lynn Benton Community College to provide institutional research services, including mandatory reporting, analytics, and data visualization support. Under the Memorandum of Understanding, Lane Community College will pay $60,000 annually for these services, and the agreement automatically renews with no end date. So until somebody terminates it, it's going to keep going. The college may view this arrangement as a necessary response to staffing or operational challenges. However, questions remain about whether alternatives were fully explored and whether the bargaining unit was adequately informed and consulted regarding the work that has historically been performed by college employees. Article 926 of the LCCEF Collective Bargaining Agreement reserves management's right to contract or subcontract work. At the same time, it requires the college to consult with the union regarding the impact on bargaining unit employees when subcontracting work presently being performed, and to provide an opportunity to discuss alternatives and the need for such. To date, I was not aware of any consultation regarding the agreement. If consultation did occur, it was not communicated to me or anybody on my executive team. Given the contract language and the potential impact on classified work, it's reasonable to ask what discussions took place, what alternatives were considered, and how the college determined that outsourcing was the preferred solution. I've read the administration's responses to the board information requests and want to add a little something. I would say that also as noted in the document that it's salaries, I'm talking about the salaries again, of 2025. They don't include the last batch of increases that I discussed at the March 31st email, because that's 2026, in which I provided the current salaries for management. If the board wants the true amounts, request the projected salaries for the year. Now I'm going to respond to something said at the beginning of the meeting. I don't appreciate being chastised for requesting information on management salaries. It's my right as the president of the classified union to request and share the results of information requests, furthermore, to bring them to the board if they look outrageous or to share. This is a public board meeting. It's my choice or anyone else's to bring what they feel is important to the board. I will continue to do just that. I want to look at the 62 out of 327 classified are making over 90,000 a year. I'm not one of those. But that is 18% of the 327. Out of 71 managers, 54 are making over that. That's a 76% overall for that group. That is the difference. I continue to be dumbfounded at how defensive a board or two of the board member, one or two of them, become when discussing manager salaries. I would love to see that sort of support for the classified. I'm tired of the same board members trying to limit what we can say, how long we speak, and anything, etc. It is a public place. We should be able to voice our opinions. That's what it's for. Share what we know. That's what it's for. And ask questions. Additionally, when I look at the information responses that are asked by the board, they ask the same administration who are doing the things. I don't really know how to phrase this off the top of my head, but you're asking administration to provide answers to questions that you're asking, which are the people who are doing what they're doing. So they're going to answer how it works best. So I would not say that's the best way to get the answers to what you're asking for. After hearing the public comments, lastly, I have questioned the support that a couple of the board members have that are backed by businesses only. I think the ties into the foundation, to the board members, to the support. I think it's getting really hairy, to say for a better term. It doesn't look good and it doesn't feel good. And oftentimes it feels like this board is not this board, a few of the board members aren't even interested in change, aren't even interested in the things that people bring. I don't even know why I do it really, except for I was told the public could hear it and that's what matters. But it's like being I think it's called a push button board. That's what it feels like. That there's a few of you that just want to do whatever the college brings. Yeah, just pass it. No questions, no nothing. But because it was brought, just pass it. It's really disheartening to think that you were elected by community members and won't stand up and question and ask without getting defensive, without being mad that we're asking about certain things. Again, that's what you're here for. You're here to look into things that we question. I've never, again, I think I've brought up a lot of things, and it's not just off the top of my head, it's people asking me as well. A good portion's off the top of my head, but it's stuff that people have talked about. And I just don't understand why things that I bring or Adrian brings, or for that, the public comment brings. Why don't we hear later, like, what happened? Was it discussed? Where'd it go? Because right now it's like talking to a wall. I do appreciate those of you, you know who you are, that try to pull for the classified members and the students, and I appreciate that very much. That's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. We'll now move on to the president's report, and then next is the consent agenda. President Bulger.
Yes. Hello, everyone. It's the end of the academic year, and there's always at this time a lot of energy on campus. And this week is has not disappointed so far. As a matter of fact, today we were all regaled with the outdoor symphonic band and percussion ensemble that was right out there and outside of the center building. It was quite lovely. Just today, also, the Neurodivergent Student Union had a fidget fair. We had an ecology and bird poster presentation. The culinary capstone actually gave us a lot to nosh on. And the undergraduate research symposium happened as well. It has been quite a lively day and a lively week for us. I also want to highlight something that you'll hear about a little bit later when we have the College Council governance report. And that is a program that is a mentoring program. It's being piloted by the College Council, and it's going to strengthen student participation and shared governance. And we could not be more delighted about that. And finally, I want to give you just a little bit of a sense of what will happen at our graduation ceremonies that are upcoming on June 13th, and give you a little bit of a sense of the students who are graduating this year. So this is our 61st annual commencement ceremony. We have 1,401 graduates. They're going to be earning a combined 2,132 associate degrees and certificates. Let me tell you a little bit about them. One of the things we've seen change as a result of the pandemic is that career technical education is a greater percentage of our offerings than transfer education, and you see it in our graduates as well. So 55% of the awards earned this year are career and technical education credentials. 45% are transfer awards. Our youngest student, if you might want to guess how young our students are, and how the youngest is 17 years old, and the oldest is 69. The average age is 27 and a half. 59% of the graduates are first generation college students, and 55% received a federal Pell Grant, and 1 in 5 students received an Oregon Promise Grant. We're delighted that the Oregon Promise, we understand, will continue. And 16% of our students receive support from our Center for Accessible Resources. We also have our international students. They will be graduating also this year. They come from countries such as Japan, South Africa, China, Vietnam, Brazil, the Republic of Korea, and many more. So I could not be delighted that I will be able to officiate the ceremony on June 13th and hope to see some of you there. That's my report.
Thank you. We'll now move on to the consent agenda. Does anyone want to remove or have questions about anything in the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'm just double checking online here. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed? Any abstentions? We're now moving on to action items. Again, so I apologize if I seem like I'm going through this quickly. The first action item is approval of a program, proposals for the Artificial Intelligence Programming Career Pathway Certificate degree, which is attached in the board docs. President Bulger, would you like to introduce speakers?
Yes, thank you for this. I'm going to have Dr. Tinkham come up to the seat here, and I know a faculty member is in the audience to probably assist with this. Yes, please, there's a seat for you, Professor Bird. So we don't do this often, but this is an action item this evening. We would like the board's support for this particular certificate program. I think it is a certificate program, I'm going to have Dr. Tinkham start to talk about this and introduce Brian Bird.
Absolutely. Good evening, board members. I'm joined here today with faculty member Brian Bird, who developed the certificate. I'm just going to give a little bit of an overview and just pass it over to the person that you really want to hear from. The Lane Community College is proposing to establish an artificial intelligence programming career pathway certificate. It's 4 courses. This is a certificate that will be embedded within the software development associate degree program. It's designed to prepare students for the growing integration of artificial intelligence tools and technologies within the software development industry. This program will be using current resources, and there will be a very minimal demand on any additional financial resources on the program, as it will be using existing courses. And I'll let Brian go ahead and add a little bit more about this program.
Sure. Well, it's great to be here with all of you. Good evening. I'm sure everybody's aware of what a revolution in artificial intelligence has taken place in the last few years, and the profession that's been most impacted has been software development. So the purpose of this certificate is to enhance the education that our students get so that they have the skills to use artificial intelligence and give them an edge in getting hired and being able to do their jobs. So that's the basic idea. Any questions?
Excellent. Any questions from the board? We'll go Steve and then Kevin to start us off. Go ahead.
Thank you for coming. Were you here by any chance during the public testimony portion of the meeting this evening?
Yeah, I was.
Then you may recall, right, there was somebody who asked a question or more, not so much asked a question, but gave some criticism about the potential for students to basically, get this certificate, but not understand the underlying coding issues. And I'm not here really to challenge that one way or the other, but I'd like to give you an opportunity to respond.
Actually might have been in transit. I was watching the stream from home and then drove over here. So I've actually missed that. But that's a huge debate that's going on. To what degree do students need to, well, not just students, but software developers need to actually understand the code they write. And so we're not getting rid of our software development degree. We're still teaching our students pretty deeply how to write code. But on top of that, we're adding education in how to use artificial intelligence effectively in their profession as well.
Thank you.
Excellent. We got Kevin, then President Olson. Go ahead, Kevin.
I have 3 questions. I'll ask the first one, step back, and then, if we have time, I have 2 others. The first question is, what enrollment level is required for the certificate program to remain viable?
So I don't know if we have any hard numbers. I know that as far as, so there are 2 courses that are Python programming, which are shared by our other programs. So there are 4 programs that use those courses. So it's not just the certificate that brings enrollment in those courses. I taught the first course that's in the second two courses are the artificial intelligence courses. I taught the first one in the fall and had 16 students, and the course wasn't even in the catalog. So I think it's going to get pretty good enrollment. I think that typically the department looks for at least 12 students in a class to make it sustainable. And I don't think we'll have any problem with getting more than that.
Thank you.
Any follow-up questions?
I have a couple of,
Go ahead.
but I believe President Olson.
Yeah, we can move on. Yeah, go ahead, President Olson.
I'm probably going to have more questions, but I'd like to start with, I mean, I think everybody in this room has been well assured of the kind of concerns when it comes to environmental impact with AI and data centers, and especially among us that are a little bit more politically advocate, have been paying attention to the land impacts and water supply impacts. So I'm curious, has the administration done any kind of research into what kind of environmental impacts us opening an artificial intelligence program would have, either direct or indirectly by using
Is that a
artificial
question for
programming?
me or for the administration?
Whoever can answer it.
Yeah, we also have a AI literacy class, Intro to AI, and a big part of that course is on ethics and social impact. And that's a part of the courses that we teach we'll be teaching in the certificate as well. And personally, that's a big concern for me. So, one of the things we'll be looking at is running LLMs that run on your local machine, as opposed to running LLMs that are running in a data center where you have that kind of impact on the environment. But yeah, that's a big concern.
Did you have a follow-up? Sorry, did you want to answer as well?
And then also, the college, there was a presidential task force on AI that concluded its work and subsequently wrote a report on what are, the guiding principles. And one of the guiding principles from that task force is that the ethical use of AI is very important. So that's one of the recommendations that's guiding the college in its approach towards AI.
Do you have a follow-up? Yep.
Yeah, again, I feel like my question wasn't fully answered. I think we kind of delve into ethics a little bit there, which was another question I had. But I asked, did the administration conduct research into what an environmental impact of an AI program would be at Lane?
I would say I think this particular program in and of itself is teaching about AI, but I think what you're asking about is how this program would have an environmental impact. And I don't think that's one of the criteria that was used. I mean, what the AI task force has done has acknowledged that there is an environmental impact to AI. And it's recommending that we make sure that we are mindful of that in our course offerings and in our operations. But for this particular program, I don't think that in and of itself, that the environmental impact of what is being done would be significant. I mean, I can ask Brian to talk about that. I mean, I don't know what type of programming.
Yeah, so a big part of the two courses that are artificial intelligence is on using old-fashioned AI. And so there's actually an acronym, GOFAI, Good Old Fashioned AI, which is the kind of AI we've had since the 60s. So one of the things I really want to teach students is that that generative AI, ChatGPT style AI, isn't the only kind of AI. So there are a lot of problems that can be solved using existing AI that's been around for a long time that doesn't run in a data center. It runs on your local machine. But we will also be using generative AI. So, there will be some small increase in the amount of generative AI used on campus, for those two courses. But it doesn't seem like it would be a very significant increase over the degree to which students are already using generative AI.
Yeah. All right. Do you have one last follow-up question or?
No, I'll let Kevin go.
Okay, gotcha. Well, I just had a few questions and
Yeah.
statements. Well, first off, President Olson, I would definitely check out the notes from the Climate Action Plan 3.0 SWOT analysis meeting that happened recently. Some students brought up your very same concerns, and it was really great to hear that advocacy around that. Speaking just purely from a workforce side of things here, I am in support of this. I think it'll be really helpful to not only, because AI is being used a lot as a tool, as a resource to help improve business operations and so forth. I've even sat down with business owners and heard about how AI is being used in business dynamics and so forth. And I really do appreciate that there's also a concept of ethics with AI. And I think that that's really critical, both in an academic sense, but also in a workforce sense. And yeah, I see absolute great value in this process. Kevin, I think we have enough time for you to ask additional questions.
Thank you, Chair. So one thing, I don't know a lot about AI, but one thing I do know that it's changing very rapidly. So my question to you is, what kind of processes are going to be put in place to kind of capture that rapid rate of change so that we ensure that our students are well prepared for an AI-centered job?
Yeah, that's a good question. And, it is changing rapidly. And, when I develop a course, usually by the next year, I've got to redo everything. But fortunately, NVIDIA, if you're familiar with NVIDIA, they're the company that makes the chips that run the data centers. They're currently the most highly valued company in the world. NVIDIA gave the state of Oregon $10 million for training educators in higher education. So they have a program called Campus Ambassador, which I'm in the process of enrolling in. So I already have access to all of their training materials, which they're on the cutting edge. They're constantly updating that. So I've already started going through their training, and I'll just be continuing to go through their training as well as a couple of our other instructors are also getting the NVIDIA training. So that's one source. But as you know, there's all kinds of resources. There are books, there are online tutorials and courses. And so in our department, we're all constantly upgrading our education in that area.
Thank you.
So we're about a minute over. We can expand the time if we want to, or if someone has a motion to approve this program.
I'll move to approval and I'll second.
Excellent. It's been moved and seconded. Jerry, would you like to, it says you moved the motion. Would you like to speak on it?
Thanks. I hope we can do periodic reports to the board about this development and also pretend that a lot of us don't know exactly what this is. So really break it down into some basic terms that we can really grasp. Yeah, thank you. But I know enough about it to want to support it. Thank you.
Excellent. Last call for any further discussions. President Olson.
I have my concerns. Unfortunately, the Student Government Association wasn't aware of this program approval until very late because of technical difficulties with communication with executive assistants. So I can't speak on the behalf of students, but I can speak on the behalf of myself as a student. And I'm concerned that the environmental impact hasn't truly been researched by any professionals, and that we are hearing from people who would benefit from this program existence on why it's not affecting the environment. I mean, there's been city councils around Oregon who have been day after day denying these kind of data centers being built so that they don't tap into our natural resources and cause systemic problems in our communities. And I find it concerning that we as a community college will be endorsing the use of generative AI when it's typically known, and its data centers are typically known to cause issues and systemic issues. And I will say I'm not in support of this program being approved until there's a conductive AI or environmental research done by the administration or somebody so that we can understand the true impacts of what our decision is today.
All right. So with that, we are out of time on this issue. We'll move to a vote. All those in favor of approving the Artificial Intelligence Program and Career Pathway Certificate signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you for the presentation and answering our questions. All right, we're now moving on to the resolution 715, a year-end budget realignment transfer resolution. President Bulger.
Yes, we have a number of resolutions this evening for the board's review and approval. I will ask Kara Flatts to come up to the table here to see if you have any questions.
So we're looking at covering 15 through 19?
If the board, if it's the board's pleasure, we can take them all together. Kara can explain very quickly each one of them, but they can certainly be taken together.
Absolutely. I don't any objection to that. Seeing none. All right. Kara, go ahead.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks for your time and reviewing this and approving for us. The first one, 715, is what you traditionally see in June. It's a cleanup of year end. All of the items in here, we can go through details if you'd like, align with all of our forecasts and our information that we've provided with you. It's the difference between where we start now when you adopt a budget and as the year goes through, how programs have the ability to move things around what they need to spend and shift things as they go. And sometimes there's changes in categories. So this is to align with our current spending plan and patterns and keep us out of an Oregon budget law violation. Are there any questions or anything particular in here?
And this is in regards to 715.
715, yep. And this affects fiscal year 26, which we're in right now.
Excellent. Kevin, go ahead.
No, I don't have a question.
No worries. Steve? Nope. Okay. Sorry, I took nonverbal cues there. Sorry about that. Any questions around 715? Seeing none? Yeah, we can move on to 716.
716 is similar, but just a little bit different. 715 is a net zero. We're moving budget authority within within each of the areas to come up with a net zero. This next one is 716. It's additional authority. That's why you see it as a supplemental budget resolution. There's 190,000 additional authority we needed in one of our capital project areas. So we need that additional funding to spend that through the end of June 30th. So it's additional 190,000 on our budget this year.
Yeah, so essentially permission to spend down the, yeah.
Yes, correct. It's existing revenue. It's not new revenue. It's revenue the college already has.
Yeah. And was any of those bond dollars?
This one is not particularly bond dollars. It has to do with one of our deferred maintenance areas.
Got it. Thank you. Any further questions? Seeing none, move on to 717. I can count. There we go.
Yeah. You are correct. 717 has to do with our fiscal year 26-20, our fiscal year 27 budget. This one aligns with the property taxes and includes our budget authority for the next year. Actually, that one's just the budget authority for the next year. So it is what the budget committee, which you were part of, approved as a recommendation, and this would be adopting our budget starting July 1st.
Any questions about that? Quick question from it. I believe it was in the budget, in the document, there was an assumption of how much taxes are to be collected. And is that at a 90? We spoke about it previously of how there's a certain percentile that we've been getting on average, and that's what we use for the assumptions. Is that, am I correct in that?
Yeah, that's actually in 718, but
Okay. Oh,
it's in the next one. Yep.
My apologies.
Nope.
I was
You're
ahead of time.
right.
Okay, got it.
Yep.
I will wait for that question then.
Okay.
Anything in regards to 17? All right, seeing none.
Okay, the 718 is a property tax section. This one includes the permanent tax rate, which one of the things we've talked about in our general fund, that's where the permanent tax rate comes in. It's a part of our operational budget, one of the three large legs of the stool. What I've reported on is generally in the past, our county area, mostly Lane County, is usually the high 90 collection rate. So at the beginning of October, November, the county establishes what they estimate they'll receive on our behalf, and we usually get to about 90-some%. So that's that piece. It also includes our general obligation debt, and that calculation includes that collection rate plus if there's any funding we see as a surplus by the end of the year in that fund. So anything levied on behalf of that particular debt payment has to be maintained completely separate, and we can't keep a large balance in there. So if there is additional funding in there beyond what we expected in the prior year, we offset what we would levy in the next year. So this is a dollar amount to pay that debt, which is obligated and approved by voters in the counties.
Gotcha.
That makes sense?
So yeah, it does make sense. So essentially, if we collect more, and I apologize, everyone, if we collect more than what was allocated to be collected or assumed to be collected, that overage goes into reducing the following tax year.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
Yes.
Any other questions in regards to 718? All right, seeing none online. Great. Moving on to resolution 719.
This is presidential authorizations for fiscal year 27. You usually do approve this in June. This is our large contracts that you see year to year. It has things that include our debt payments. It also includes all of our liability insurance, includes any of the major vendors that we do usually spend. Again, board policy is anything over $250,000 that isn't already approved, we bring forward through the year. These are the ones we know about at the beginning.
Excellent. Any questions about these line items? All right, seeing none. Definitely a big utility bill.
Yes, big campus though.
Exactly, yeah. And that includes obviously all of our campuses, right?
Correct, it does.
All right, moving on to, oh, I lost my place here.
That would be all of them.
That's all of the resolutions that are numbered there. So yes. Any further questions about the full grouping? Otherwise, I can accept a motion to approve all of them.
Just a clarification, would it be appropriate to approve them one by one or as a batch?
You can do either or as long as they're all approved. Mhm.
And to make a motion to approve the batch, I'm a little confused as to how best to word that.
From A to F.
You simply need to
You could-
reference the resolution numbers and.
Yes, that would be the cleanest way.
Go ahead.
In which case, seeing no further discussion or questions, I move to approve Resolution 715, the year-end budget realignment transfer resolution, Resolution 716, capital project supplemental budget resolution, Resolution 717, the FY 26-27 budget adoption and appropriation, Resolution 718, imposing and categorizing taxes in FY 26-27, and finally, Resolution 719, the President's annual authorizations for FY 26-27.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. There is opportunity for discussion. We still have a little bit of time here, but would you like to speak to your motion, Steve?
I think we've reviewed them all thoroughly, and the documentation we received this past week was helpful. I don't have any further questions or comments or need for discussion.
All right. Jesse, Julie, I'm only just calling you out because you've been quiet and I want to make sure those online get a chance to speak or have any questions answered. Did you have any
No.
questions?
I'm good.
for
I
me.
aligned with what Steve just said.
Excellent. Great. Thanks for letting me double check on you. Any other further discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of approving the resolutions 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Thank you for answering our questions and presenting this. President Olson.
I was wondering if we could take a bio break.
Is the board amenable to a bio break?
5 minutes.
Yep, 5 minutes. All right, we'll go ahead and do a 5-minute bio break. Take care of yourself.
Pretty good.
Oh, they only get 15 minutes?
I don't wear a
They only get 15 minutes? I thought it was 30.
Was there a time on? I didn't see a time on Zoom.
I'm impressed.
We'll start with 15.
Much time as you need.
Efficient. Anyway. All right. We'll now bring the board meeting back to order. We'll now be moving on from the resolutions to capital campaign launch update and approval of naming opportunities. Then we'll move on to discussion items. President Bulger.
I'm delighted that we're having this presentation. It's been a real milestone for us. And so you're going to hear about some really good news tonight. And Wendy Jett, and we've got some foundation board members who are here this evening. And I'm sure that those individuals will be introduced as well. So Wendy, tell us the good news.
Yes, so excited to be here, you guys. And I think we have some slides to share as well. What I'm actually here for tonight, for your approval, is some naming opportunities. But before we get to that, I know a couple of you haven't been with us through this whole process. Jerry, Jesse, newer to what we're doing. So I wanted to go through a little bit of the history. The rest of you also, it's been a little while since I've been up here, so want to make sure we all remember how we got here and what we're doing. So we are in the middle of a campaign. It's been a quiet phase so far, but that doesn't mean we haven't been doing amazing work. And we are on the precipice of launching the public phase of our campaign this fall. So in the next slide, you can sort of see how we got here. This all began when President Bulger came here in 2022, talked with the board then, the Board of Education then, and moved forward with plans for a campaign. And we spent, about a year doing feasibility study, a formal feasibility study, and meeting with tons of departments on campus and hearing about need and going out to our donors and seeing what resonated with our donors. And we were able to form an initial case. We did our initial leadership and major gift solicitations. Rather quickly, we reached 50% of our total goal in August 2025, and I'll share some numbers with you in just a second. And that's really the first step before we want to go public. We want to make sure that we have the support of our community. So we want to make sure those major gifts are in place. So the next slide. Those of you who've been here for a little bit will remember our campaign title and tagline, A Lasting Local Lane, Learn Local, Work Local. This was developed about 2 or 3 years ago now. And again, it's something that's really resonated with our donors so far. Next slide. So this is the big exciting news. The goal, I know many of you have probably heard about this in the quiet phase on the down low, but now it's official. I'm here, I'm at the microphone to tell you that our goal is $30 million. And we have raised to date over $19 million from our amazing community, from so many people in this room, so many of you. So thank you. And we have 3 major buckets and priorities, and I'll go through them. I don't want to take up too much of your time this evening. You can see them initially there, and then I'll go through them on the next few slides. So the next slide, our timeline. So we do long-term fundraising at the foundation. When we come up with these priorities, we work on them for a length of time. In this case, it's a 7-year campaign period, which is pretty typical for a campaign of this size. It's very similar to our previous campaigns here on the campus. Our campaign count began July 1st, 2023, with some initial look-back gifts, and we're going to end our count on June 30th, 2030. And so we're right in the sweet spot where we're going to go public in the fall and encourage greater participation. So the next slide. The first bucket of our 3 buckets is student support. A goal of $15 million for this bucket. We've raised to date $8.6 million. And one thing I should know is instead of regular honorary chairs. We're having donor champions for each of our buckets. We wanted to do this to highlight some of our transformative donors in each of these buckets, and also to have even wider representation out in the community, more spokespeople for us, more advocates for the great work that the college is doing. The donor champions for this particular bucket of student support are Ellen Yordy and Paula Chan Carpenter. Paula is here today. So this is really, this is our core competency, right, at the Foundation Scholarships. Actually, this week, my team is doing scholarship matching. We're set to announce scholarships in mid-June, and we're right in the thick of it right now. It is amazing work. We are going to award over $1.5 million in scholarships this year. It is so inspiring. If you guys ever get sick of the politics, come on over to my office.
I'm sick
We
of it.
will read some of the words of these students and you will be inspired, I promise. It is amazing what the students go through to get here, to succeed. It is really why we are here. And so it's amazing. So scholarships, also basic needs support. I want to call out one particular group on campus, the CARE program run by Rebecca Ramos over in the Career Pathways office. I know Steve's a donor to that program. And this is where our students can go and turn to for basic needs, emergent needs. What's amazing about their program is they don't just hand a check over to the students, they do counseling to make sure the students don't end up in the same situation next month. So I also like to make sure our faculty and staff know that resource is available, because students will often express need in a classroom. And so if anyone who's listening has a student that expresses that need, please send them to CARE. And that is a great place on campus for those resources. So that is another thing that we are trying to expand support for. Under this category, we also want to expand our student outreach and onboarding, and we want to create a more welcoming physical space in Building 1, get some new furniture in there, get some more resources for our students and staff and our student achievement coaches in that space. Our next bucket, state-of-the-art equipment. The goal is $5 million. This is primarily focused on the iTech building. This is because that was the newest building on campus. Right when our campaign started, the equipment in there is quite expensive and necessary for those trades programs. So that is the primary thrust of our fundraising. However, we also honor within this category the many, many donors of equipment needs all across our campus. We have donors to our graphic design program to buy scanners. We have donors who donate sheet metal to our welding program. I mean, it's amazing what the donors in our community can do. There's some examples there. Our donor champions for this category are Steve Wildish and Irene Altecker, who are here this evening. So thank you guys for being the faces of that priority. Our third priority is forging career success, work experience, and program excellence. Our goal here is 10 million. We're getting really close already to the goal here. I don't know if we might want to expand that in the future. We will see. There are two main ideas under this category. One that I'm super excited about, it's called Work Experience Scholars, and you'll be hearing more about this in the coming school year. This is an initiative that was seeded with a $1.5 million gift by the Haugland Family Foundation, and it is specifically student support for students who are participating in co-op, internships, job shadowing, our Chamber Connect programs, things like that. Where our students can actually get those experiences. That costs a lot of extra money. If you work and you're going to school, you can't just stop working to do an internship or co-op and without some loss of income, right? So we want to give them some extra support during those terms in which they are doing those programs. We're working with our fabulous co-op faculty to develop that this summer, and other college programs to make sure that our students have full access to that. So I'm really excited about that. So look for more information in the coming year. That will start in 2027. This category also captures all of our amazing donors who give to our programs and departments. So we've had donors seed our respiratory therapy program, Rebirth. We've had, obviously, our amazing partners at Peace Health funding our nursing program. for our donors who fund visiting artists on campus, our Small Business Development Center. I mean, the list goes on. Pretty much every department and program on campus has donors to it, and that is amazing. They're employees, they are community members, they are, in some cases, students who donate to these programs. And so it's just really inspiring to see everyone come together. So the next slide, naming opportunities. So that's the action item tonight. So we worked about 2 years ago to come up with naming opportunities, again, specifically in the iTech building. That's where our equipment funding is going. And so these opportunities, we're going to bring back more to you, I hope, in the next few years through 2030, as we offer those opportunities to our community to inspire donations. As you know, naming opportunities are not just about honoring our amazing donors, but they're actually a great form of peer pressure for other donors to give when they see these amazing people who have donated. They want their name up there too, perhaps. So it's a really great way for us to advertise the opportunity of giving to our community. And so the last slide, how can you help as a Board of Education? Obviously, build those external connections. You guys have so many connections in the community. Tell them about the college. You don't have to make a financial ask of them. Our team can do that. I'm not asking you to do that, but encourage them to think about how they support the college and to do it in a meaningful way, whether it's through engagement with our alumni network or a financial contribution to the campaign. You are strong voices and people trust you. So please, please get the word out there. Continue to get talking points from Dr. Bulger as we collect them for the fall. We'll have in the fall a website up and running. If you are interested in some of the naming opportunities, perhaps yourselves, on the following pages, there are some naming opportunity levels that we developed, again, a couple of years ago with our facilities team and the programmatic teams that were there at that time in the iTech building. So that is my report on the campaign, and you have another sheet in there with the actual naming opportunities that you would be approving tonight. And it is, let's see how many we have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 opportunities in there that we would love your approval on. We would start working on signage because it takes a few months to do that. So that's why I'm here today, even though we wouldn't be launching this until the fall. So yeah.
Yeah, so for the purposes of discussion, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the iTech building naming opportunities listed below for Board of Education approval.
And I'll second that motion.
Excellent. Perfect. Is it without objection? Can we add 5 minutes to the time? I'm sure we have some comments and questions that we have for this process.
Sorry, I talked too long.
Oh, no. You did absolutely perfect. I'll speak to the motion and then we'll move on. One of my first complaints I received as a board member was from my mom, who essentially said, hey, I see all these numbers on these buildings. If you put names on those buildings, then, that'd be helpful and you could raise some money that way. So I'm really happy to see this. I want to thank the donors and their generosity. I want to also just make a call out to the community that, yes, you could leave a legacy here, a literal legacy here at Lane Community College with one of these opportunities of naming and so forth. But I also know it's a hard time for people too, so if you're able to contribute, $250, $100, $50, $25, even those have a big impact. I also want to shout out to Julie Wiseman because she shared with us the food pantry. And the foundation has a fund for the food pantry.
Absolutely.
If you are in a rural community and you want to support the small rural school districts and helping those kiddos get over here to Lane Community College, there's scholarships specific for those school districts. If there's a population of students that you want to help support, they're out there. I've looked through the literal catalog of different ways that you can donate through the foundation. And even small donations can make a big difference. Even by drops, a bucket is filled. And I want to encourage the entire community to get involved in this. If you want a wonderful evening, the foundation has a wonderful dinner and fundraiser where you get to hear the stories of our students and everything. I want to thank the foundation staff. I want to thank the foundation board members for your service and your continued support. continued support throughout this process, and to all the faculty, classified professionals who've also donated, as well as my fellow colleagues and board members. We'll move on to President Olson, and then we'll move on to other things.
I was just wondering if we could get those actual naming opportunities list up on the screen or anything.
Would you like the ones approving this evening or the big list of?
The ones approving this evening. Yeah, thank you.
And I'm happy to walk through them if you want, whatever you need.
Yeah.
I read them previously. I was just saying for the sake of clarity so I could read them again.
Yeah.
Excellent. And if you have a question, just let us know. Kevin?
Yeah, thanks, Wendy, for your report. Thanks for your work. I mean, to have 60+% of the goal in pocket before the public campaign really speaks to not only a well-run campaign, but speaks to your staff. Some of your staff is here tonight, speaks to the foundation members who volunteer their time, but really it speaks to the community trust and confidence that they have in this institution. So that's what it tells me. Thank you for your good work. Obviously, one of the naming opportunities has my family's name on it. I fully support this list, but I will be abstaining from the vote.
Understood. All right. Any further questions or comments? Online, I can't see you, so if you have a question or comment, just raise your hand and I'll be able to see it. Go ahead, Jerry.
Just briefly, Wendy, thank you so much. I was very impressed by this campaign and I look forward to being more active.
Thank you, Jay.
Excellent. Julie?
I just want to kind of echo what Kevin said. I mean, I've done capital campaigns for nonprofits before, and they are amazingly difficult. And I just want to applaud you. And I also applaud the work that you've been doing to just get the reputation of LCC, its innovation, what's possible, and the support, the excitement that you all have for students and how they're participating. I mean, it's just amazing. And I just applaud the work that you're all doing. And thank you so much for doing this on behalf of the community and students.
Excellent. Jesse, go ahead.
Just very, very briefly wanted to say thank you, Wendy, and everyone at the foundation for all their work, and really excited to help play a role moving forward and raising more money and continuing to help you all do the amazing work that you're doing and doing so well already.
Excellent.
Just very briefly.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just wanted to thank you all as well. There's several foundation board members in the room tonight, and several of those that have given very generously. So thank you all. We're very appreciative and lucky to have you here, to have you, managing the foundation board and to be lead donors. So thank you so much. I also wanted to just briefly shout out Grant Matthews, a staff member who's also going to have his name on his wife's name, I believe, on one of the rooms in the iTech building. Thank you for the donation.
Absolutely. First off, it was a pleasure passing this policy to allow us to, change names of buildings, classrooms, and so forth, and getting clarity of how that process and so forth. Now, are we going to be getting report backs of new names on a quarterly basis, or is it a fiscal year basis?
I hope it's quarterly. I want to bring them as a group, so I won't just bring them one at a time.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll do a bunch at a time. So whatever is reasonable for that.
Excellent. Well, I look forward to the future. I'll call it a batch. I'm sorry. A batch of naming opportunities in future meetings. Look forward to it. Any further questions, comments? All right. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move to a vote. All those in favor of the iTech building naming opportunities for approval for the Board of Education signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain.
Oh, yes. All right.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Appreciate it. Yes.
It's Wendy.
We'll now move on to the discussion items. The first one is the governance annual report. President Bolger.
Yes, this is an annual report from our college council co-chairs, and the audience and the board may remember that I am the vice chair of the college council. So I'm introducing Amanda Blunt and Maggie Wright.
I'm gonna share my screen.
While Amanda is getting her screen shared, can everyone hear both of us okay?
Let's see, you're a little quiet. Yeah,
I
if you could-
will move my mic
oh,
closer.
that's a little bit better. So yeah.
Okay, great, thank you.
Right, and greetings everyone, board, President Bolger, President Olson. As President Bolger mentioned, this is the College Council Annual Report. I'm Amanda Blunt. I'm the Project Coordinator 2 in HR focused on people experience.
And I am Maggie Wright, she, her. I am a faculty OER or Open Educational Resources librarian at the college. I currently work with instructors to switch from using $200 or $300 conventional textbooks to using free resources that students can access without spending any money. I do want to say that unfortunately, my position is the librarian position that is being eliminated by the college, but I hope that this sort of program that is being mindful of textbook affordability issues can continue at LCC, even if this position doesn't continue. So I'm in this role for about 10 more days, so I'm kind of thinking of like limited time only. The next time you see me, if I'm here, I may have a different job title. So nice to see you all tonight.
All right, so tonight we are going to cover just highlights from the year, focusing on our governance system, the College Council itself, the progress we made throughout the year, things we're looking forward to for next year, and then we'll give you opportunity for questions.
So we are here as College Council co-chairs, but we're really representing the entire governance system at the college. And this is the planning and the policy making body. The governance system is made up of 5 different councils. The College Council is the main kind of like top council that is responsible for strategic planning, effectiveness, and also coordinating the full system. And then there's also 4 subject-specific governance councils that are beneath the College Council. So here is a nice little picture representing our governance system structure. You'll see that the top little figure is the College Council. It has a star in it that says "We are here." Amanda and I are the co-chairs of this council. And then we also have a diversity council, a faculty council, an infrastructure council, and student success council.
And then here, like I mentioned, the team, the College Council team, you can see it's multifaceted from the fact that it's representatives from across the college, operational, instructional, student supports, as well as kind of another lens is folks from the unions, administration, management, faculty, classified professionals. So it really does bring people together with different viewpoints to make sure we're not missing anything and voices are heard and supported. And here we are, 11 policies we passed this year. So very exciting. We've been extremely busy this year, and beyond just policy approving, we've done things like offering training about governance, and we've been continuing to do the work about updating our governance manual. So there's been a lot going on.
Yeah, we wanted to represent, because maybe if you just hear 11 policies revised, that sounds, that sounds good. But we really want to show you that the governance system is really operating at a fairly high level right now by looking at the rate that we have approved policies over the past 5 years. So you can see that we've gone from in 2021 approving revisions or new policies 3 times, then 1 policy approved 1 year, 4 policies the year after that. And now we have really kind of like hit our stride. Last year, we came and gave a similar presentation to you. Last year, we were able to approve 10 policies at the college level. This year, we weren't sure if we were going to be able to do better than that. 10 was looking pretty good to us. But so far, we have approved 11 policies this academic year, like Amanda was saying. We're really pleased with that. And we also have 1 remaining meeting for the year next week. You can go to that next slide, Amanda. That's perfect. So one of the things that we're really excited about is that in, I think, around 2020, the college went through a governance redesign process. And in doing that, identified a goal that the governance system should have a 5-year policy review cycle. So ideally, every policy that the college has in the portfolios of the different councils will be reviewed every 5 years. And so in order to achieve this with the number of total policies at the college level, the system needs to complete a review of 11 to 12 policies every year. And so this year, we are currently on pace to be on that 5-year cycle that we have set for ourselves as a goal. And as far as I know, that is the first time ever that we have been on track to do that. So that's really exciting to kind of have that in reach in this moment in time.
And Megan, I really want to take a moment to kind of call out and give thanks to the chairs of our other councils, because it's not just 2 of us, it's not just the college council, it's really everybody, right, that participates in the shared governance. And without the efforts and the coordination of our chairs, we wouldn't be able to say we've made such amazing progress this year. So I just want to kind of call out Blue Crook, Sarah Lucia for Diversity Council, Jerry Minahan and Kevin Steeves for Faculty Council, Josh Manders for Infrastructure Council, and Gina Zabadi for Student Success Council. Again, I mean, I really appreciate it. So does Maggie, everything they've done to kind of help continue to move this work forward.
So last year when we gave this presentation, I think we were here maybe a month later after the academic year had wrapped up, and we were able to announce which of the councils had been able to get the most policies passed. Because we still have 1 and I'll also say that this is kind of like a competitive thing on our council amongst all those chairs of who is in the lead for having gotten the most policies passed. So because we have 1 more meeting next week, we do not yet know who will be our policy powerhouse for this academic year. But we are in a position where it's kind of neck and neck between 2 of the councils. So we wanted to show this just to fully give credit to these councils. We have the Student Success Council, who has so far passed 5 different policies through the full governance system. But we have the Infrastructure Council right behind them with 4 policies. And then you'll see in this little box to the side that at our meeting next week, we have 4 different policies, 2 from the Infrastructure Council, 2 from the Student Success Council that are eligible for their second read at College Council, and so they could theoretically be passed next Wednesday. And so at this point, it's really anybody's game. Either of these councils could be our policy powerhouse for the year. And so again, just a lot of thanks to Gina Zabadi, who has been the Student Success Council chair, Josh Manders, who has been chairing Infrastructure Council. All of our chairs for councils are faculty or classified staff at the college who really are taking on a leadership role, having to do much more closer to like executive level roles in this position. And so just a lot of thanks and respect to all of those folks.
So looking forward, I'm going to pause on number 1 because I'd like to give a little more detail on that. But we're going to continue to streamline governance procedures, support the development of the college's next strategic plan, and we always strive to foster a transparent and collaborative decision making. Other little tidbit I wanted to add is something that we did this year was to further involve the students by making sure when we have a notice and comment phase for our policies that are under review for revisions, we now put them in the Titan Times. So the students also have more access to be able to give us feedback in a more timely manner. So we're really excited to kind of have a full year of that next year. And as President Bolger mentioned, we are implementing a student governance mentor program. Just kind of a highlight, this was in response to a letter we received from the SGA. Maggie and I met with them. We did a lot of listening, a lot of note taking, and from that, we brought back the idea of building a structure that will support the students that participate in our governance structure to ensure that they're successful and their voices are lifted up during those meetings, and to be respected, right? So it's really exciting. Maggie's done a lot of work in finding folks on the council and the committees to make sure they are paired with the students, so they have someone in the room to kind of go, hey, what do they mean when they say that? You know, or am I missing something? Or what's really important to me that's on the agenda? So we're really excited to see how that grows and moves forward. And we couldn't do this without Nicole Vickers. So giant shout out to Nicole. Woo, right? Without her, because I know these are the things that happen in the background that we're not always aware of, but without her, we wouldn't stay on task sometimes. So it's very appreciated, her time and her effort and participation in this whole endeavor. All right. Any questions? Thank you for listening, and thank you for giving us this time this evening.
Excellent. Any questions? We got President Olson and Kevin. Go ahead.
Well, first I want to say thank you on behalf of student government and the students for that pilot program. We are very appreciative that we got such a kind response to our letter, and we'd also like to further that thank you to Nicole Vickers for her sustained support. I just have a few questions, possibly one. I'm not sure. I know us as student government, we try to follow Oregon public meeting law when it comes to the way we hold our meetings. I was curious, does that same like rule, or do you guys try to follow that just as closely for the governance councils?
Do you want to take that, Maggie?
I can take a pass at that. My understanding is that the level that our shared governance meetings are at do not require us to follow Oregon meeting law. We are not, I mean, this is not to diminish the work that we're doing, but the shared governance system is kind of like not important enough, even though we are doing important work on behalf of the college. We're a lower level below the Board of Education. And so we do make an effort to post our meeting minutes. We make an effort to send out our agendas well in advance so that all of our members can be well informed and prepared when they come to our meetings. We have a number of rules in our governance manual and in our governance operations manual for how we are conducting our business as a shared governance system and on each of the councils, but we do not always follow the rules as strictly as is required by the Oregon meeting laws.
And
Good
before you
question.
and before you continue, is there any objection to adding 5 minutes to this item? Seeing none, go ahead, President Olson.
Well, thank you. Your efforts don't go misplaced or unobserved. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Excellent. We'll do Kevin, and then I'll put myself in the queue.
Thank you, Maggie and Amanda, for the presentation. So just a couple observations. You two obviously work really well together, so that's impressive and appreciated. And you obviously care very much about the process, so thank you. So as you know, good governance isn't about agreement always, but it's more about making a space and a place where, you know, substantive discussions can take place and different perspectives can be debated and things can be thought about. So obviously that's happening. My question to you is, are there aspects of this process that are working particularly well in that regard?
That's a really interesting question, especially in the context of our shared governance system, because while all of our councils are operating democratically, we are actually striving and a board policy charges us to make every effort to reach consensus in our decision making. And so that is... we interpret that to mean that no one has voted no on any motion that is approved by the councils. And so, as you can imagine, that is particularly challenging at times. It is a really interesting situation to be in as a facilitator, a co-chair, and leader of the council and in the governance system. But I think that what we are finding is that when people do have the space to discuss and have some discourse and share their opinions, when they feel like they have been heard and they have heard their coworkers speak and they have heard from students about particular topics, it is actually a lot easier to reach consensus than you might think on some of these decisions. I find that people are really interested in trying to be collaborative and move decisions forward. And so that has actually been pretty inspiring in doing this work.
Thank you.
Excellent. First off, thank you for the time, effort, and just everything that you do for this shared governance process. We value greatly from it. In regards to the strategic plan, I was here when we first developed our current strategic plan. I wanted to ask if you could describe to, especially with our newest board members, what that strategic plan process looks like, what those discussions would look like, and the shared governance process in the creation of the strategic plan.
That's a really good question.
We're full of good questions today.
Yes. And this might be a little challenging for me to answer, but I'm going to take a pass at it. The last strategic plan that was approved by the college, I was the chair of the infrastructure council, and so I was a member at that time of the college council, although I was not as involved. And at that point, the college council reviewed the strategic plan and really just voted on it in the process of it being brought to the Board of Education. My understanding is that this year with the current administration, they have expressed interest to Amanda and myself to involve the governance system more heavily, and specifically the college council, to have us do a more review. Currently, Amanda and I are participating in some I'm not sure what to call it, some pre-planning discussions that are going on at the college so that we know what is going on. I do not know the specifics of the process to expect for next year, but I have heard that there's wishes to really make sure that the governance system and all of these voices are incorporated and have the opportunity to listen and give feedback to the strategic plan. I don't know if there's anyone in the room there that can offer a little bit more like process, structural information.
Thanks for teeing that up, Maggie. Really appreciate that. Yes, by the fall, the process will be much more defined. We have issued an RFP. I believe that was last week. So we are going to engage someone from outside the college to assist us with this process. And I do have in mind a comprehensive process involving our internal employees and also the external community. And so it was really important to me to have Maggie and Amanda part of the pre-planning that we're doing right now with the Community Vibrancy Series. And I believe we've all been enriched by having the faculty member and classified professional, an additional classified professional in that group. So I'm looking forward to it. Our foundation, I just mentioned to our foundation this week as well, that they will be involved in that process too. So could not be more excited about that. You know, that's what a president is really excited about. That came in with a strategic plan, a 5-year plan, and we're in the 4th year of that. And so I get to work with the college and the community on charting the next phase of Lane Community College, and that will be quite exciting.
Excellent. We are over time, but we want to greatly appreciate the presentation, the conversations, and the questions, of course. Thank you, everyone, and greatly appreciate the service of you as well as your colleagues on the College Council. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good night.
Have a wonderful night. Thank you. We'll now move on to board policy review, second discussion item here. President Bolger.
Yes, we do have some new policies that Brett Roulette will introduce this evening.
Let's go up a little higher, Chair. There we go. Good evening. This evening, I bring to you 7 policies for a first read. 5 of the policies are scheduled for their regular 5-year review. Of those, I just want to point out there's no revisions recommended except for Board Policy 3541, sexual assault. And that was just a small issue with copy. It looked like about 12 years ago, there was a copy and pasting error that just kind of has carried forward ever since. So we got approval from legal to recommend a small correction on that. The other 2 policies that are included this evening are a result of legislation passed during the February session. These are policies that we received from OCCA as a subscription to the policy library. Anytime there's legislation or administrative rules that are passed in Salem that impact board policies, Karen Smith, legal counsel from OCCA, reviews it and recommends corrections or additions to board policies. So the first one, Board Policy 3506, is an existing policy, protection of immigrant students. And what we are recommending for this policy is the addition of language. The legislature passed in February House Bill 4079, and that requires colleges and universities and school districts across the state to have board policies that specify when federal agents are on campus partaking in immigration activities that the college will notify students of that activity and the college community. So we do have a board policy in place that already specifies some of this, but there are additional requirements in the state law, such as identifying an administrator or administrators that are responsible for confirming the presence and sending out those releases. And then there's training requirements and so forth. And so that is the language that you'll see proposed to add to Board Policy 3506. And Board Policy 7610 is a brand new policy. This also addresses legislation passed in the February session. This time it's House Bill 4138. And I'm sure you're aware that Oregon is a sanctuary state. We already have laws that prevent public employees from assisting federal agents with immigration-related activities. The legislature felt, though, that it was important that it be very clear to public employees that these laws are in place. So the law that was passed, House Bill 4138, just requires that institutions have a board policy that specifies that. So that's the language for that policy. Happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Any questions in regards to the policies, especially the new ones? I do have a question in regards to the last part of page 10 there, which is the procedures will be posted on college website in any language that's regularly used to communicate effectively with students. Are we using essentially the state, forgive me if I say this wrong, commonly spoken languages in Oregon, which is essentially like Spanish, Chinese, Vietnamese, Russian, Korean, French? And so are those the languages that we're utilizing for this? Was there guidance with the state law on that?
The way the law is written is it's the languages that we commonly communicate to our student body in. So, for example, Chemeketa Community College, that's an HSI, they do make it a part to produce many of their materials in Spanish as well as English. So for them, the requirement, the expectation would be that they post that in Spanish on their websites. On our website, we do have a little widget in the bottom left-hand corner that allows you to switch between one of 5 different languages, the 5 most used languages from students at our institution. So that's how we would meet that requirement, and the procedures that are supported by these board policies will be worked out over the next few months. The timeline requirement for institutions to be compliant with these new laws is September. One's at the beginning of September and the other's at the end. So we wanted to make sure that we got these before you for a first reading in June, second reading in July, so that they can be in place for this fall.
Yeah. And yeah, thank you for reminding me of the toggle there, because yeah, it does show quite a few different languages. So thank you for that. In regards to, so obviously this is the recommendations based off of recent state laws and so forth. If we want to even expand this even further to provide additional protections to our students, staff, faculty, neighbors, is there any limitations in regards to what we can expand to? I know that's a pretty broad and vague question, but yeah.
No, but I think I can hear legal counsel. We've had, the board has had conversations around protected classes in the past, and you have expanded the list of protected classes for the institution further than what the federal government recognizes. The state of Oregon has also gone further. And so I know there has just been a caution about expanding too far with that list and some of the unintended consequences that could go along with that. But we do in board policy already go further than the federal government does in recognizing protected classes.
Perfect. Thank you. Is there any other further questions? All right. This is a discussion item, but we'll be seeing these in a future board meeting. Thank you so much. We'll now move on. We'll get caught up here. Academic affairs update. Looks like we actually have 3 different updates for human resources and also student affairs. President Bulger, how would you like to approach this?
Yes, so I'd like to have Dr. Tinkham come up first, and then Shane Turner for the human resources update, and then Dr. Joyce for the student affairs update. Thank you all.
Good evening, board members. As we approach the end of the spring term, I want to highlight a few examples of the outstanding work happening across academic affairs. And I know that you've received my report, and I trust that you've reviewed that, and I'm happy to answer questions about its content. One area of particular success has been workforce and career-connected learning. More than 540 high school students attended our annual Trades Expo just this past spring. This is the largest attendance in the event's history, where students explored hands-on career pathways alongside faculty and industry partners. We also received a $546,000 Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act grant that will support adult basic education and English language learning programs. We also have made some important programmatic milestones. Our respiratory care program completed its initial professional accreditation site visit with positive feedback. We are awaiting that final report. We are also currently engaged in the accreditation process for the Small Business Development Network. That is the network that operates all of the centers across the state. Across the college, faculty and staff are continuing to prepare for the fall launch of Canvas as our learning management system. Finally, I want to recognize the extraordinary dedication of our employees, whether leading statewide initiatives, serving on foundation boards, publishing research, supporting community partnerships, mentoring and teaching our students. Our faculty and staff can continue to demonstrate exceptional commitment to student success. Their work is especially noteworthy as we navigate significant budget challenges and institutional change. Of note, I want to highlight recent discussions the administration has had with dance faculty and dance students, during which we shared perspectives. This represents a great collaboration. The dean has agreed to look at the viability of offering one additional technique course in the fall for those students who haven't completed the ballet series on a one-time basis. And we also discussed the need to shift the dance program to include non-credit offerings so that we can continue to develop student skills. And I am losing my voice. And it is 9 o'clock.
You got a water there? Yep.
So
Okay.
I'm happy to entertain any of your questions.
Any questions? Excellent.
Okay, great. I
Thank you.
think I can.
Yeah, exactly. You did wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, we got water for you. Thank you. All right.
Good evening, President Olson, President Bolger, members of the board. In your packet tonight is the information report, which is the Gallup survey results that you heard about a little bit earlier. I wanted to just give you a little bit of context with that report and talk to you a little bit about what we're doing in response to it. As you look at the scores, you can see that we've lost some ground in our results this year, roughly erasing the gains that we had made last year. So we're still better than where we started, but have some work to do. That work has already started. You heard some mention of the campus work groups that are working on the budget reduction process through this next year. Despite what you've heard, we've actually gotten really good response from our employees. We have 46 employees across 3 work groups. 30% of those groups are made up of faculty, and so we're grateful for the participation and the contributions to getting this process and improving it going forward. Later this month, we'll be bringing in the Gallup folks to conduct additional training for our managers, and that will dovetail with the retreats that we have planned for both the cabinet and for managers this summer. And then coming back in the fall, being able to apply the plans that we've put in place over the summer. So barring any questions, that's my report.
Any questions? I know with the Gallup suite, but essentially the product itself, they give recommendations and how to improve numbers when there's slide backs, ways to respond and so forth. Are we requesting that, or is that what that retreat's going to be for? Or yeah.
So there was an initial debrief with campus leadership with Gallup, and they provided some suggestions already, and those will also then be transmitted to managers when we meet with them later this month.
Excellent. And did they give recommendations for, because it looked like involvement and getting a say in the institution was one of the things that I saw was a waning thing. Did they have any specific recommendations with those type of things?
I don't recall specific recommendations about those. Obviously, we recognized those in the scores, and so as I mentioned, those work groups are one of the ways that we're already working to address that. The involvement of the governance system and the strategic planning is another example of that kind of work. How do we enlist the voices of campus writ large in the things that we need to do at the college?
Yeah. And a question I've neglected for this whole time, actually, are student workers involved in the Gallup poll?
They are not.
Okay. Thank you. Any further questions?
I'll save mine for the information report.
Okay, perfect. All right, seeing none, we'll move on.
Hello, good evening, President Olson, President Bolger, Board of Education. I'm giving the Student Affairs Report. First of all, I would like to take a moment to respond to the Diversity Council Chair. The student activity fee is a fee that's governed by students through their elected representatives in the SGA, which was formerly governed by the Student Activity Fee Committee. The identity unions have not been defunded. For example, there have been numerous recent events such as a NASA Salmon Bake, Know Your Rights workshops through METCHA. The PCU had an event named the Hawaiian Epistemology, the Role of Aloha in World Transformation. Future events by METCHA, Celebramos. GSA is having a Party with Pride event, and NASA is planning a retreat where they'll visit the Siletz Reservation. And the Neurodivergent Student Union is holding the Fidget Fest. These events and more are being funded through the SGA and the student activity fee. Recognized student organizations continue to have access to funding with approximately $88,500 available this year. Yes, the processes have changed, and I'd welcome the opportunity to meet with the Diversity Council Chair to discuss their concerns. And on to some of the great things happening. This month, we had high school visits from Creswell, Willamette, Springfield, North Eugene, and Cottage Grove. They got registered for summer and fall courses and prepared to become LCC students by attending campus tours and participating in starting strong college workshops. And we got a quote from a counselor at Cottage Grove High School. Hi, Rosa Maria, thank you for organizing this event. I was really impressed by how smoothly it ran. The Start Strong workshop was a great chance for students to reflect and learn about resources, and the advising and registration process was well supported. The whole process was so thoughtful. Kudos to you and your team for another great event. Here's a student quote from the event that the counselor sent. Why do I feel so much at home? And later, I'm so happy. Sincerely, Emma. Staff from LCC and the University of Oregon financial aid departments attended their second annual Eugene Emeralds Game Together, and the Ems won. These two groups are seeking other events to attend together so they can get to know each other better as part of our Duck Lane partnership. Also, more on baseball from athletics. Lane Titans placed second in the NWAC tournament. This is the best finish for the Titans since 2004 when they won the championship. Congratulations goes to Josh Blunt, his assistant coaches, and the student athletes for their amazing accomplishments. The coach and the team also attribute their success to the new turf field. Additionally, Quality Care Connections hosted a successful childcare provider appreciation day on May the 2nd. This was about celebrating and supporting early childhood educators and childcare providers across Lane County. Approximately 130 providers showed up, and they recognized the vital role providers play in supporting children, families, and the local economy, while also promoting provider wellness and professional growth. A highlight of the day was a panel presentation featuring Lane Community College President Stephanie Bulger, State Representative Lisa Fragula, who many of you know, Lane County Commissioner Lori Traeger, and Holly Marconte, Child Care Sector Strategist. Also, put on your calendar, if you haven't got it already, May the 13th, Saturday, is our 61st Lane commencement. And
June?
Yes, sorry, June. I'm going backwards, Anna. All right, and one of the good things about this is Student Life and Leadership is providing donated gowns so students can borrow them to attend because some students are not able to get gowns. We also have 30 volunteers, some from Student Government Association and staff and faculty and managers who are assisting with the event. And the Titan Food Pantry served 717 students, providing 1,110 individuals in their households with nutritious foods in spring term alone. And finally, I might mispronounce some of the words in this one. The Maxwell Student Veterans Center hosted a delegation from Uzhhorod National University in Ukraine. They were interested in learning how our higher education supports student veterans. MSVC Coordinator, Alizelle, Veteran Certifying Official, Sam Evans, VP, well, I'm not mentioning my own name, Dean of Student Engagement, Carl Yeh, Latinx Student Program Coordinator, Arturo Zavala, and Jonathan Campbell here. We met with veterans from the Ukraine war who were also involved in the university system. They took a tour of campus and also looked at our drone program, which made them smile a little bit. But they give one really deep piece of news to us when they were here, that 30% of the universities in the Ukraine are being destroyed. Of that, 30% of the staff and faculty and students in the country either displaced or dead. And that's how sobering it is over there. And I just thought that was worth bringing up. Anyway, just the things that we do here at Lane Community College are connected across the globe. Anyway, thank you. If you have any questions.
Any questions? Yeah, Steve, go ahead.
Just a quick follow-up on that student fee that we heard about.
Yes.
I appreciate you giving us some additional context. So what was presented anyways was that up until last year, I guess, or this year, there was about $9.50 allocated across per year. I wasn't clear on that per student, et cetera. You can answer that question in just a moment, but $9.50 that's been, eliminated according to that presentation. And I think you seem to suggest that you have sort of, picked that up, the funding the activities that funded have been sort of funded in other ways. Is that true? Is that a 1-for-1? Is there a loss? I just want to get clear.
No, actually the student government actually voted to charge the same student activity fee this year as it did the year before. So the actual number did not change the dollar amount. And if you want to speak, but the process moved from the Student Activity Fee Committee to student government. You want to speak on that?
President Olson, yeah.
Yeah, I just felt to clarify a little bit that yes, the student activity fee is now fully under the steward of student government, but we allocate, I think somewhere in your statement, you said $88,000, and we'll be allocating, I think, more money next year to the Coalition of Student Organizations, which is a quasi-separate body that operates under us, that every organization that participates in COSO sends a representative and has access to the funding through COSO, not just through Student Government Association.
So just to be clear, the total dollars available has not changed. The process by which you access them has.
Yes.
All right, that's correct.
I just have a slew of compliments that I want to give. First off, congratulations, of course, to the baseball team, and I'm glad we were able to bring them home to a home field. Thank you for sharing about the Ukrainian veterans and their desire to create services for their veterans. I'm constantly reminded of how, yes, we're Lane Community College, but the community also includes the world. And it's really inspiring to hear that. I've heard from a few students from Cottage Grove High School. They really appreciated being on campus. Yeah, they had nothing but great things to say about the staff who welcomed them and their process and your process of introducing them to programs immensely. Additionally, I also want to thank you. I've asked questions before about NASA, the powwow, and so forth. I just want to compliment you about your conversations with the Native American community leaders, elders, student leaders, and so forth. This is really critical that we have continued conversations with them about a variety of different topics that are impacting their communities. And I just wanted to appreciate your leadership in that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? All right. Thank you. We'll now move on to the information reports. Kevin, I believe you had something.
Yeah, are we going to hear from each, or is this an opportunity for just to ask questions?
Oh, yeah. As traditionally, as you know, we always can pull a specific information report to ask questions and so forth. Yeah, and I believe you had something in regards to the Gallup poll, I believe.
I do have some comments about the Gallup poll.
Okay.
So, we talk about the importance of campus climate, and that is critically important. And it's important to understand that the Gallup poll measures a very specific construct, and that is engagement, employee engagement, which is an important part of overall campus climate. And the board will, should have questions about that for sure. But I just want to bring it back to that idea that the Gallup poll measures a specific thing. There are many other things that are included in campus climate that we should think about perhaps in the future, and including board behavior, workplace relationships, workloads, and resources available, labor relations, student environments, organizational change, which we have experienced, a rapid rate of organizational change here, and external factors that are outside of everyone's control, such as financial support from the state and other economic uncertainties. So I just would like the board to consider a future conversation about maybe improving, working with the president to get her suggestions and ideas to improve the idea of how do we measure campus climate as opposed to a fairly narrow and important component of overall climate. I was glad to hear Shane talk about steps that are already in motion to address some low numbers. And I would be interested in learning more about that, and also interested in information, updates to the board as that process goes along. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other questions or comments in regards to the reports given?
I do. Let me see. In deference of time, let me just see here.
Yeah, totally.
The facilities report. There was a note in the facilities report about classrooms will be fitted with new lock hardware. And my question is, how is that addressing some of the concerns that we've heard presented to this board in terms of classroom safety during an emergency or a lockdown situation? Do those new lock sets address some of that or all of that? And
I wonder, Kara, I don't think that Jennifer Hayward's here, and I'm going to ask Kara to come up and respond.
That I don't know specifically, but I'll follow up with Jennifer and get the information for you.
okay, yeah, that was intriguing. And
She
then
says yes.
she says yes. Thank you, Jennifer. Where are you?
She's online, I think, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks. One other quick. Nope, not for you. Well, maybe for you. I don't know. There was a note in the bursar's office report that was.
That sounds like you.
Hey, we collected $400,000 in past due student accounts dating back to 2022, while simultaneously using increased outreach efforts and flexible resolution options to help students resolve their obligations. $400,000. Congratulations. Thank you.
Yeah, the team has done a great job. Morgan is our Bursars director. She's done a fabulous job. We've brought in a third-party pre-collections company that has done all that work with us. And yeah, I am proud of that team. They've done a great job.
Because the board has spent considerable time deliberating numbers at less than $400,000. So I congratulate
Yes,
you.
and just to be clear, it's their payment plan structure. So they're not all cash in the bank today, but they have done it.
But thank you. And then the question is, are there strategies learned from all of that that could be applied to other places in the college? And that may be a rhetorical question. But,
Yeah.
okay.
We'll look at.
All right.
All right. Great stuff. Any further reports and questions? I do have a question in regards to the HR dashboard. Thank you. So I've seen improvements in certain numbers. We've been following, obviously, we get this report on a regular basis. So it looks like we've been improving in certain areas. But I also see some declines in certain areas under legal sex by quarter and classification group and so forth. Does the Gallup poll involve any of those things, or is there a separate mechanism that that you use to either help improve those numbers? And is there any numbers that we should just be concerned about in this report?
Yeah, I think the way that I look at the HR dashboard report is it's a snapshot in time. And so I've got some other data cuts that look at it over comparing year over year as opposed to quarter, because quarterly can be really volatile, especially given the size of some of the employee groups. So that's the way I look at it. And if it's your pleasure, please ask Dr. Bulger and I can bring that information back to you. There is the ability to initiate other data cuts with Gallup. We look at those employee groupings or gender and I can tell you that there wasn't an artifact in the Gallup report around gender that was statistically significant. We did have variation among the employee groups, but gender was not one of the factors.
Gotcha. Understood. But yeah, no, I do want to emphasize the improvements that I've seen in this report as well. So I really want to appreciate that and definitely understand what you're talking about, because obviously it's based in percentages. And like you said, depending on the size of the group, a couple people could really change those percentages, obviously. So yeah, no, thank you. Excellent report. I really appreciate receiving it. It definitely helps with the equity lens that we want to have as an institution. Thank you. All right, any further questions, comments in regards to any of the reports? If not, we'll move on to the good of the order. Seeing none, we'll move on to board meeting comments and questions.
Yeah,
go ahead.
You know, I always do.
Oh, yeah, Kevin, and then we'll move on to Jared. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. I just want to say, you know, as I reviewed the reports, heard the information tonight, I was, and especially, you know, the highlight from the foundation's work, I was struck about how much the college's success depends on collaboration. We saw examples of that all evening tonight. Students, faculty, staff, employers, donors, community partners, volunteers, all working for a common goal and a common purpose. And to me, that's what community trust looks like. That's what public trust looks like. And so I'm grateful to see that. None of the accomplishments that we heard about tonight could be accomplished by one single person. So it's many people pulling together to make good things happen for the college and stay focused on students and keep moving forward, even when circumstances are challenging sometimes. And that's something worth recognizing and building on. So thank you.
Thank you. We'll go on Jerry and then President Olson. Jerry.
Yeah, following up on the collaboration, this week, the tribal interests, Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife and others breached a dam or a dike that had been in at the west end of our county and flooded 180 acres of brand new, or actually restored to 100-year level of free-flowing water. And what it essentially does is allow the smolts, the baby salmon, a place to get refuge. But 180 acres, that's probably one of the largest bioremedial efforts in the state of Oregon. And it's right there at Cushman as just before you get to Florence. Thanks.
Thank you for that update. Very important for the ecological dynamics of that area. We'll move on to President Olson and then Steve.
Hello, I have two questions to close out tonight's meeting.
Of course.
I'd like to clarify that this first question should not be seen as an act of I or student government showing an interest in this position, but I'd like to get information that if at a future board meeting, if the board plans to try and write into board policy the president or a student government representative taking a seat on the budget committee.
The motion that was made and approved by the budget committee indicated that we should recommendation for the board to have that discussion. And Jerry and I will be having a agenda setting meeting to figure out when we can bring that forward.
Right. And then my second question is to what was said before, I guess, what was said at the beginning of the board meeting is mentioned something about contacting a bar association in regards to a law firm. Is that going to be a board decision or is that a personal decision?
Yeah, it has to be a board decision on that situation. Yeah. Again, I'd love to have conversations with the president and Jerry in regards to what would be the process for that.
Thank you.
All right, Steve.
Yeah, I'm sorry to end. I wished I could have gone before Kevin because he always has an uplifting thing to say. And I think that's always the nicest way to end the meeting. Next time I'll try to squeeze in a little earlier. But I do want to, bring up an issue. I've heard it echoed a few times in the last few months by folks during public testimony usually. So, there have been complaints essentially shared with the board that when folks have been terminated, and we've had, many of those this past year because of actions taken by the board, right? So the president's acting on those actions. In any case, people are reporting that they hear about that first from a colleague and not from, administration. And, and I think we can all agree that's not the best way. That's not how somebody should find out. I also think that there is probably a lot more going on there than what, meets the eye, or at least what we're told in public testimony. I know that there are requirements that the administration, sort of depending on who the individual might be, share that with the union leadership. And so there are many people who end up knowing about that termination prior to the actual person affected. And it's very difficult, if not impossible, to prevent that information from being shared, before the supervisor or whoever most appropriate has that opportunity. So I think I understand at least some of the dynamics. There may be more at play. Nonetheless, I would just, in the interest of that individual's experience, if we could all come together somehow and allow the proper procedures to take place so that they don't have that experience, is going to take exactly what Kevin referred to earlier, some collaboration and trust. But in any case, I get the dynamics, I get the complexity, and nonetheless, I would ask the president to think about ways that we might be able to, kind of address that issue.
President Bolger, would you like to respond to that?
No. I was just saying, thank you. Thank you. And I will certainly talk with the board about that.
Excellent. Any further board comments and questions? Jesse, Julie, just wanted to make sure you had an opportunity.
None for me. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Kevin should just be on a ditto button. Could I just do rinse and repeat and just have him say all that great stuff again? That would be my comment. Thank you.
Excellent. All right. Well, first off, I wanted to just say in regards to the Fidget Fair, that was a great event. Thank you for everyone who attended. I also want to thank the staff at the CAR Center of Accessible Resources. What a valuable asset to our students and to individuals who we need to remove barriers to assist. And so, yeah, I really appreciated what I learned. I appreciate all the students who are part of the Neurodivergent Student Union. They have taught me a lot through conversations and opportunities to listen, learn, and understand. I think that there are opportunities for us as a board to look at ways to remove barriers through policy to help support this student population. And I think we should also apply that for as many student populations as possible. And I definitely want to echo what Steve was saying in regards to individuals finding out about things in the various ways that they find out about things. And I think that the biggest, and many of them were from students who were stating this. So I do want to encourage us to think of how can we bring students to the table. Our shared governance processes, looking into that and looking at ways to do that. And I want to see how other ways that we can improve student access to information to their representatives, so those representatives can bring that information back to the student population, and so that information is widely available to the student populace. So I think there's some opportunities there. Overall, though, I really appreciate tonight's meeting and the conversations today. Thank you. Anything else for the good of the order? Otherwise, we go into future meetings. Oh, that's right. I greatly apologize. There was a list of things. I apologize. President Bolger, you could, would you like to state something?
No.
Oh, no, you were just reminding that. Okay. Okay, here it is. So Next regular meeting is July 1st. Please note that the board will be taking a group photo at that meeting. We ask all board members to plan to attend in your, picture dress. And in addition, in the July 1 meeting, we'll be electing our board chair, vice chair, as well as community organization appointees. Those who have currently served in those community appointees, thank you for your service. If you're interested in continuing to serve in those roles, that would be the time to communicate that. If others show interest and or would like to learn more, please contact us so we can answer those questions. Before we close, I just want to also briefly note that we have the 2026 ACTT Leadership Congress that will be taking place October 21st through the 24th. This is going to be in Chicago. At this time, we're looking to send one board member. Usually we try to get that in before the early bird deadline, and we try to emphasize and prioritize individuals who are new to the board, who haven't been to a conference and so forth. So be sure that if any board members are interested in attending, please reach out to Jove so that staff can follow up with the registration, travel, and next steps. And so those are the major things. That, like I stated, future meeting date is July 1, 2026.
Can you let us know what that early bird deadline is?
Oh, my apologies. Early deadline is August 14th. August 14th. All right. We will also have an updated calendar for approval at the September 30th board meeting. That will be attached for board review. With that, we are